give it to you this morning.
Sing, Durand.
Lord, I will live mine eyes to the hill.
Sing, Durand.
All right, come on now.
Knowing my help, it
look ahead for the team. Took a bullet for the dream that we would one day all be free. Free from prejudice, free from sexism, free from bigotry. I die for creativity, yeah. I die for freedom to be free. I died and left a legacy. Oh, but baby, I'm still live through technology. After the sun, then comes the rain. Yeah. And after the storm, the sun will start shining. What is a pain? And tears of pain. And tears of pain. And a dash of struggle, just be patient. Your destiny will manifest. Yes, falls in the sand.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It's your dude BubzDaGawd here with you in the live for you all. Let me cut my shit down. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I'm gonna let y'all know right now, baby. Happy post 420. Okay, I went and read up a little bit. No shade. Shout out to the deals and the discounts. We thank you. Okay, but we're back with another late night live with you all, and no shade. This is going to be kind of a lengthy live. I've kind of been slacking as far as the whole video production aspect. Not because I'm over here being lazy, ain't doing nothing. I got other stuff going on behind the scenes. New opportunities that are opening up for me that I also want to take control of, take hold on. So that's why. But with the lives, I'm going to give y'all a lot of things to chew on and low-key take for leftovers and eat the next few days. No shade. For those of you who are Christian, and I mean those of you who are subscribed to organized religion, and it is very much a part of your identity, you are going to be triggered in this live. If you are a queer person who is a gay Christian, but you're also still choosing to live through the perspective of what society says or the dominant culture asks of you, you're going to be triggered in this live. Those who feel like queer people don't have a right to be in this system or exist in this system or to express themselves in this system, you're going to be triggered in this live tonight. And no shade, as a queer person who survived the onslaught and low-key is preparing for the onslaught to come, yeah, we already did our work. We already did our ego death work. Not saying that's the only ego death we're going to have, but we're getting a greater understanding of what that means and what that is. Even myself, I have so much more to learn, but damn it, I'm learning. And I'm sorry to bust your bubble, but there are things outside of that book that exist, that manifest, and that works for the benefit of humanity. No shade. If you feel some type of way about it personally, you need to go into your prayer closet and have a conversation with your creator and try to get an understanding with that thing, as Lauryn Hill would say. Okay? We're going to look at things objectively, not just from my perspective, even though, no shade, I try my best to be objective, but there is some biasness there because this literally affects me. This affects my life experience and the life experiences of those that I love who are queer, and even those who are not queer, but because of their mannerisms and they're not operating in the way society asks for them to operate in, are just lumped in with us. Okay? But before we get into the live, you know we have to do the smart thing, no shade. Boom, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and education. Okay, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. All the videos, songs, images, and graphics used in this live belong to their respective owners, and BubzDaGawd does not claim any right over them. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video. Okay, now we're going to start off this video, or this video for this live stream, with a segment from one of Cam Newton's podcast episodes. This one featuring KevOnStage. I remember watching KevOnStage, like, I think almost 15 years ago, when he became viral with a few of his other friends on World Star Hip Hop, when they were doing the things that church girls say or things that church boys do. Like, it was a comedic expression of like what church life, particularly black church life, was like. Even to this day, I still have memories of the church experience that were fun. You know, they were more so about community, finding solace with other people, solidarity with other people through faith. It was a beautiful time before the whole judgment aspect came through. But again, grew his platform, is a very well-known name, reputable name in the Christian era, or area, shall I say, Lord, because they want to do a Christian era now, but a Christian area he is very popular in. Funny as hell, and no shade as of late, very, very progressive, which I do appreciate. I do appreciate people who are willing to challenge the fear. And even though there are people who feel some type of way about KevOnStage's perspective now, particularly dealing with queer people, I'm going to show you a little bit of backstory on KevOnStage in reference to his viewpoint. We're going to watch an excerpt from Cam Newton's podcast with KevOnStage, particularly talking about queer lives, queer experience, and the black church. Then we're going to look at a video from about 15 years ago where KevOnStage was on with his other friend, We're having a conversation about why do churches treat queer people different than other people. Then we're going to take a look at Durand Bernarr and KevOnStage having an interaction, girl, because KevOnStage and Durand Bernarr, shout out to Durand Bernarr, are really good friends. I've seen their commentary girl, Lord, excuse me. My tongue is all over the place, girl, because my mind all over the place. There's so much shit I want to say about this, and I'm going to do my best to kind of illustrate. But came to a wedding. I don't know if it was Kevon's wedding or another person's wedding, but they was there interacting. Like, KevOnStage literally was interacting with somebody who is queer, outside of the perspective of the Bible. Instead of looking in a book for God to be real, he opened up his eyes and allowed God to be real outside of himself through another human being, aka Durand Bernarr. Then we're going to see a video clip of Durand Bernarr clapping back at his haters, who was talking shit about him and his father, saying that his father failed him, that he done sold his soul to Bffr Moe because he got a Grammy now, even though he's independent. How that work? And the fact that, girl, y'all feel some type of way because there are black men that are willing to love their children despite what society says. Just like how a lot of y'all want God to love you despite what you do and continue to do and will do for years to come. Okay? And then we're going to finish with a video from, of course, the one, the only, Nick Jones giving commentary. Not on the Cam Newton one. I'm pretty sure that was going to be coming up, so we might have a part 2. But a recent, within the past few months, excerpt giving commentary on KevOnStage and gay Christians. So make sure you hit that like button, no shade. Make sure y'all share. Make sure y'all also share y'all thoughts. Whether you agree, disagree, this is not an echo chamber. I don't want this to be an echo chamber. If you feel some type of way about my commentary, if you feel like I am leading people astray, if you feel like I am doing myself and others a disservice, then I guess by your decree and creed to Christianity, you are then obligated to tell me that, but you got to also prove it. You can't just use words from a book. You got to make those words flesh. And no shade, the way that KevOnStage is going to show up in reference to me showing y'all these videos, to me, He's operating in the realm of Christianity, which means that I may not understand things, and because I don't have that understanding, I will not be able to agree. But I'm not going to allow your sexuality or your gender expression to stop me from loving you the way that Christ, Jesus, loves me and loves everybody else. And literally walk that out. And if that means at Judgment Day, he's standing before the creator of all things, and the creator tells him, hey, you shouldn't have done this because I said in my word that this was against the thing. He would say, hey, I take accountability. I was just operating in love. And no shade, as a same-gender loving man. Well, you're gonna go to hell for being same-gender loving. Well, guess what? I share the same sentiment of KevOnStage. I guess I'll just have to find out then. And I know that answer has a lot of y'all clutching y'all pearls because how dare he? Oh my God, baby. It's called walking through the fear. The fear, the false evidence appearing real. A lot of y'all talk Christ. Now it's time to walk Christ. And y'all judge the ones that are actually walking in Christ's behavior. And then on top of that, since you're walking in more Christ's behavior than KevOnStage is because of his love for queer people, his acceptance of queer people, doesn't mean I agree, but I can still accept you as a human being, accept you as a child of God. If y'all got a problem with that, I'm gonna need for y'all to start healing colds, flus, C19s, girl, cancer, HIV, AIDS, world homelessness, world hunger, girl. I'm gonna need for y'all to fight and pray, girl, and show us what it looks like. Until then, y'all just talk a lot of shit. No shade. No shade. And again, share your thoughts. Share your thoughts. If you agree, disagree, let me know. Don't just be a Bush baby. Baby, especially if you're a Christian, share your thoughts. Share your thoughts. Anyway, let's get in. Okay, that's the wrong video. Let's get in.
So speaking on controversy, right? Recently, some online discussions question your representation of Christianity publicly.
What's going on, Harold?
There was a post that went viral warning podcasters to be careful with having you on their show. You, specifically, Kevin. A lot of people, including celebrities, came to your defense.
Yeah.
How do you process those type of situations happening for the world to kind of observe too?
Low key, the first thing that I realized, Cam, I ain't gonna hold you, is like, the person who started that wasn't a big creator. And what I had to process first is like, my name is bigger than I realized. The tagging of me and talking about me specifically, good or bad, was enough that I was trending for like almost a week over there. And I didn't even say anything in the moment. It wasn't like I went viral for the video at the time and then I was trending. Like, the video had been out for, I mean, he wasn't even talking about a specific video. So the first thing that I had to realize is like, Dan, you really gotta watch what you say, or not necessarily that I said anything I disagree with, but like whatever you say can become a topic of discussion. And more, I try to say that I'm not a celebrity.
Right.
I'm not famous, but that's just not true. Because an average person, that clip, you know, that thread, that video, that TikTok wouldn't go viral if they were talking about somebody who's not famous enough for that to be, you know, worthy of posting. I thought it was interesting because I don't position myself as a pastor or teacher. I'm just a church kid. I'm not even saying you got to get your theology from me. You should not. I actually agree. You should get your theology from a theologian. I never can say that word right. But I think what it boiled down to is I've been pretty vocal about loving LGBT people. And that just doesn't go over well with a lot of church people. And it's just, I've been thinking about this a lot, and if I go to Judgment Day and God is like, Kev, let's talk about your love for LGBT people and all the things you said. Let's talk about your love for LGBT people and all the things you said. I'm gonna take my chances with whatever happens. If he ends up being like, and I didn't like that, well, man, I thought I was gonna go with love. You know, the word Christian, the I-A-N in Latin means to be like. So a Christian is to be like Christ. to me, my understanding of the Bible, false teacher,
Prefacing it.
a false teacher, just a nigga, that's all I am. Jesus led with love at every point.
At all points.
At all points. Even when the law, the adulterous woman, and listen, I'm not a theologian, so y'all can dissect this and say I don't understand, that's totally fine. The adulterous woman, the religious scholars try to catch him up. They say this woman committed adultery. The law says we're supposed to stone her. What do you say? And the legal thing, you know, the right thing would be to stone her. But Jesus, in my understanding, came to do what was good, not necessarily what was right or legal. So he said, okay, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. So to me, you could have legally stoned her, but he chose the goodness of letting her go walk away unscathed. He was always with the sinners and the publicans and the tax collectors. These are the outcasts of society. These are people he spent time with. I think a lot of times, you know, we want to be, we being Christians, we want to be the chastisers and then the correctors of people. I don't choose that path. I choose love over and over, partly because the main reason was very personal to me. I was raised, you know, queerness is a sin, being gay is a sin. I was raised that way. And I remember when my son was born, I held him, you know, when I grew up, people was like, my son was gay, I kicked him out. Like, that was commonplace. Yeah. Remember when I was holding my son, he was premature, he was like 4 pounds, so he was about this big. He didn't even touch my elbow. His head was here, his legs kind of finished right here. And I remember holding him like, man, I'm so sorry. It don't matter who he loves. I'm not gonna kick him out. He don't have nothing but us. Like, at that, man, I didn't say nothing to church, to nobody in church about this. I just remember having this thought internally. But I mean, we talking about queer people are my family, my cousins, trans people are my cousins.
Can we make it, going back to us having.
Now, before Cam Newton gives his perspective, here it is, you have KevOnStage, just like myself, who grew up in organized religion, who was raised in organized religion, was a part of their life experience. They knew home, they knew school, and they knew the church. So they have this basic understanding of how everything is quote unquote supposed to go. Growing up in church, hearing all these things being said about queer people in the most negative of ways. And the only way that we're able to love queer people and really fellowship with them and allow them to be able to serve God, another way of giving back to the Creator, is that you have to literally divorce a part of your self-expression in order for us to fully accept you for who you are. Imagine having that putting that in your head, having that ingrained in your head over and over and over again. And especially if you're going to church multiple times a week like I was. You hear that message over and over and over and over, and oh my God, just imagine the mental and emotional turmoil that happens when you realize that, oh my God, I'm a part of the group that they're talking about. And then he gets to a point in his life where he gets to be around other queer people who know who they are, queer people who are able to have a relationship with the Creator and stand in their truth regardless of what anybody else says. Because if I know the Creator and I seek the Creator at Judgment Day, we're gonna know each other, because that's the one that's been standing by my side this entire time when everybody else pushed me out, correct? So again, instead of allowing words from a book to literally keep him in a box, he decided to step out of that box, out of that coffin, and walk amongst the land of the living, and saw for himself, which is why we're going to use Durand Bernarr. Also, shout out to Durand, and congrats on your Grammy. And Durand always been fine, bitch, back then and today, aging like wine, amen, okay? But you can see that relationship and that manifestation, you know, prove itself because of their camaraderie and the comfortability and the security that KevOnStage, a heterosexual man, can be friends with another man that is queer, laugh with him, joke with him, have fun with him, and allow Durand to be himself without being like, man, stop with that gay shit, bro. Like, come on, stop, bro. You making me feel uncomfortable, man. Here come with that sassy shit, that zesty shit, bro. Oh my God, here we go. Like, KevOnStage is able to walk in his truth. question is, can some of y'all? And then what really sealed the deal for him is, like he mentioned, when he had his first son, who was premature, by the way. See how God was able to take a situation that may have seemed terrifying, or oh my God, why me? And still choosing love. Why? As soon as the baby was in his hands, chose love, and look what love was able to do for his child and the children after him. And said, you know what? I'm not going to kick my son out. I'm not going to ostracize my son. I'm not going to demonize my son. I'm not going to damn my son. I'm not going to abuse my son. I'm not going to do all these things that I've seen people in the church do to their own children. I would never do that. But at the same time, because he was still battling things in his own mind in reference to organized religion, he was not going to tell anybody else about that, because that would be the breach of the contract that your ass took unconsciously when you decided to join this group, this organization, this construct. And no shade, in some aspects, especially this Christian nationalist shit, cult group. But when he held his baby, as you're going to hear him say, that I helped to create. I'm not talking about my wife that we came together. She was already created by somebody else and we just came together. But what he and her was able to create, that life, and when he held that life in his hands, he said, I don't care who my son loves. I don't care what it is. I'm going to love my child unconditionally. Do y'all know what the hell unconditional love means? It means a love without conditions. Well, what if it's this and what if it's that and what if it? Unconditional love. Didn't Carolyn Ramsey say, been in love so many times before? Everyone I love walked right out the door, but I never knew that I find someone. Give me unconditional love. When you have somebody loving you unconditionally, you're going to love them back, especially if you're aware. Now, there's some people who broken and will use and abuse them, but if you are grateful for something that loves you unconditionally, you're going to give back. And at that moment, he made a choice to actually be a parent, which means come what may, just like God still, quote unquote, working on my ass for the rest of my life, I'm going to have to give my child the same grace and mercy. Real Christian shit. Real Christ-like shit. Real ride or die for your shit. Real about your father's business shit, because I'm going to be a father who's about my business with my damn kids to make sure that my kids can succeed in the best possible way. All I can do is create a safe space for them to explore and find out who they are, to love them for who they are and who they're not. And no shade, not only is the mama bear or the mama lion or tigers and shit, not only is that the only thing that's going to be protecting the children, put daddy in there too. It's going to be daddy shark, mommy shark, baby shark. All the sharks are coming out if you mess with my kids. So I'm going to tell you right now, if I have children, I promise you, baby, you're not going to want to mess with my kids. Your kids better keep all that shit to the words and the word and the talking. Because once your kids put their hands on my kids, girl, your kid is going to be hurt. And then the parents going to come up there and maybe the parents going to get hurt. I don't know. You can believe what the hell you want to believe, but when you start projecting that shit on the people who didn't ask for that, it becomes a problem. But anyway, let's get into what Cam Newton had to say. Make sure you hit that like button.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but
It's all good.
for us to be from different places, different countries, different ethnicities, different states, different counties, different sets, different zones, different whatever. If you really in the culture, we all have that, at least one family member
For sure.
that, let's just say, is questionable.
Right. Yeah.
And it's awkward to even discuss.
If you ain't in an open family, for sure.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I always grew up and I heard this statement, that's not of God.
For sure.
And to me, my curiosity was always, but why not? My children have taught me that's a valid question, and to explain. And with my journey in Christ and in church, it wasn't always explained properly.
Right.
It was because I said so. And that was a valid answer.
part.
Of course.
That part.
And we grew up, absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? It was just like, oh, say
It
less.
didn't answer your question, but it did end the questioning.
It ended it. But being in this type of world that we live in, having that much malice or hatred towards something goes back to the biblical scripture. He who casts the first stone. A lot of what our principles are is love.
For sure.
We used to always wear these bands. What would Jesus do? Jesus ain't squaring up with these folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, bro. Like, he was taking the more peaceful route.
And can I give you an example of how I saw love actually in my life work with somebody that was visibly a sinner, and the sinner in question was my brother. He had kids, he was shacking up, everything we all agreed was sinful. And he had not been going to church for years. And the church I was going to at the time, I remember church was from like 11 to 1:30 or so. When he first started coming, he'd come at 1:15 and sit in the back row. And everybody loved on him. Nice. Everybody knew he'd sometimes bring his son, all this stuff. And 1:15 became 1 o'clock. Love, love, love. Come to my house for dinner. Come here. We're going out. Right? He's standoffish at this part of his journey. Next thing you know, because people loved him out loud, here, come to dinner, 1 o'clock became 12:30. 12:30, love, became 12, became 11. Eventually, my brother was the superintendent of the Sunday school because people loved him from the back of the church to the front. In the midst of sinning this whole time, right? This whole time, over years, sinning this whole time, they loved him, made him feel welcome from the back of the church to the front of the church to eventually the pulpit. Now, that same church, there was a girl who was, I would say, masculine presenting. It was kind of understood that she was gay. Mom made her come to church. I don't care what you do, you're gonna come sit on that third row, right?
Third. Yeah.
That same church, she was not welcomed with the same love. So the third row became the fifth row, became the seventh row, became the back row. And when she could live her own life, she left the church. So I'm seeing—
And did not return.
Never came back. Never came back. One time when I was a youth pastor, this hit me even harder. There was a kid who was openly gay, right? The teens are just invited. It's like, this is my homeboy from school. I told him we going, we playing basketball, we going to, Ocean Shores, we going to Space Needle. Like, it's fun for you. He came to church for a whole summer, right? I preach my same things, teach my Bible study the same way. One Bible study, Cam, one time, he goes to the bathroom, a deacon catches him on the way, he's like, you gay. Why are you even here? You know that's a sin, right? Never saw the kid again. I didn't know this in the moment. Why are you even in here with that sin, right? 3 weeks go by, I'm like, yo, where's your boy? And she's like, oh, they didn't tell you? Like, one of the deacons was like calling him out, said he needed to go to the altar for prayer and all this type of stuff. Didn't know him, he felt uncomfortable, never came back. So in my life, I've seen how love and acceptance versus making people feel unaccepted and unloved, that brought them one person in and pushed two people out. So for me, in practice with my own eyes, I'm not admonishing the whole church, I'm talking about my churches that I went to with my community. I saw what that was and I'm like, I'm going to lead with love because I've seen what love can do, right? And I think and if you don't like that, that's okay.
That's a you thing.
That's a you thing.
Yeah.
You can't whoop me. You're not my pastor. I'm 42 years old. I don't even owe you an explanation.
Yeah.
You do how you do. You ain't gonna stop.
We're hypocrites in the church from what I've...
Before Cam gives his perspective, again, shout out to KevOnStage cooking. Okay? Like some fupa niggas on another platform, girl. Okay? I challenge you to cook down. You ready to eat? Come eat now. Girl. Here it is. He gave a whole example of how love works. How love works. Back on screen, bitch. How love works. Love works. Said he had a whole family member who had children out of wedlock, was shacking up. Brought his children to church. The literal manifestation and product of what y'all would consider his sin. He's bringing the creation of his sin into the church. That y'all, according to the book, were supposed to be demonizing him and calling that thing that he created bastard, according to the scripture. He knew that what he was doing, quote unquote, was wrong, which is why, again, he came sitting at the back row, because y'all call that's the sinner's row. That's where the sinners sit at. Bitch, you should be glad that the people in the building love them, welcome them. Welcome me, welcome you. Y'all don't even understand when people come to the door trying to figure out what Christianity is about. You have these mistrunchable built, bad breath, Miss Pearly wolf pussy shit across they lip ass. Girl, just be so tight ass women that be up there that literally turn these other people around before they can even sit their ass down and see what it's giving. But here it is. He came in very late into the service. I'm coming in here to pastor for about 10 minutes in benediction. Technically, I was here. Damn it. I smoked in the parking lot before I came in here. The people knew, quote unquote, his sin. God, what he did. He brought his sin creation to church. Oh my God. But instead of y'all doing what y'all was supposed to do, like y'all would do to the gays, supposed to do to everybody else. Again, it's everybody gets it. They loved on him. They didn't care about it. God can work it out. God can transmute it. God will find a way to make this work. And because it's heterosexual, y'all cool with that. Because that's at least in more of y'all favor than it is homosexual. I see that. But they didn't do anything of the sort as far as demonizing him. Then because of the love that was given to him, he started to come back more and more and come earlier and earlier. But then when a stud, masculine presenting woman who is alleged to be gay, she didn't bring her girlfriend in there. Y'all don't see her turned on talking about, oh my God. You'll see none of that. You just see a signifier based on how she is presenting, as if though there are not heterosexual women who like to dress in a masculine ass way, who are tomboys. And unlike old dude who busted the nuts, did the sin shit to completion, and the byproduct of the sin, he had the ability to choose where the hell he wanted to sit, and he chose to sit on sinner's row. No. The lesbian girl had no choice but to sit her ass in the third row. I want you to sit up front so you can see, and the people behind you can see what it looks like when you hold people accountable in the church. And then the people did not love her. They didn't try to get to know her. They didn't try to ask about how we got here. It was very performative. It was very abrasive. And it was very destructive, to where when she became of age, she literally left and never came back. But yet the church is confused on why people are leaving in droves. But yet the same people who want to sit up here and critique everybody else, when they get critiqued, when it's their turn to get checked, now all of a sudden, all the grace and mercy, that's probably the reason why y'all can't give the grace and mercy to everybody else, is because y'all hoarding up all the grace and mercy for when it's y'all turn. Which is very interesting to me. You cannot make this up, and I want this to be fake. But from my own personal anecdotal experience, from Kevin's own personal anecdotal experience, from Cam's personal anecdotal experience, and again, you can't be mad that people are giving such critique about Christianity, since a lot of us was indoctrinated and raised in it. If I'm not mistaken, Christianity is one of the largest, if not the largest, faith religion in the world. And this should be the opportunity for organized religion to be like, give us a progress report on how we're doing so we can better serve y'all, because that's the point. It's supposed to serve the people. The church is made up of the people, right? But unfortunately, just like every other aspect in our life, it has been monopolized to where people got to make money off of it. When that scripture that reads, what profits a man to gain the world, but to lose his own soul, baby, these individuals are manifestations of that. Who will take the money because they own that you better beat Mr. Ed and think about heaven later type ish. To where it harms other people objectively. But let's continue. Go ahead, Cam. What was you saying, Pimpin'?
Observed.
You just talking about you.
I'm talking about me.
Yeah.
Because we'll talk about that's not of God, but the equalizer in that is, as soon as they reach into their pockets, you're gonna accept it.
Now you walking heavy now, Cam.
I know I am. But
You in dangerous
sometimes
territory.
I know I am. But you have to speak truth to power.
Yeah.
And I've had these conversations openly because I want to acknowledge the corruption.
Yeah.
I ain't never seen nobody say, This drug money. Don't worry about that. We don't want that. This queer money. We don't want that. This is adultery money. Man, listen.
We need all that for the building fund.
Green and green.
Well, baby, if they started pimps, like for example, if it was a Marvin Sapp, Juanita Bynum, what other pastor preacher asked for money all the damn Paula White, girl. If they really want to be even more biblically accurate, what they need to say is, again, the Lord is telling me tonight, Aya, Shia, is telling me on tonight. Hold on, let me set the mood a little bit. Let me set the mood. Here we go. I'm here to tell you right now how, listen, I'm sitting here minding my business, just watching as service continues to go. Oh, and the Lord just tapped me on my shoulder and I said, okay, God, I done came and drove 5 hours to preach at a church that has no air conditioning, Lord. What more do you want from me? I want to turn into Tyrese. Lord, what do you want, Lord? And the Lord told me to tell y'all that there are 5 people in the building. Okay, 5 people in the building who said that I've been told by the Lord that there's 5 people in the building that got $1,000 that they can give right now. I'm looking and I'm scanning the room. The Lord done told me. See, y'all don't know what I'm talking about because see, y'all want me to come here tonight and help y'all. Y'all the one that want the blessings and the anointing to fall down on you. So now I'm trying to help you understand it, Lord, because the Lord talking to me, he ain't talking to y'all. If he was, y'all wouldn't be here tonight. But since you're here tonight, I need for y'all 5, just need 5 for $1,000. If you right now is convicted in your spirit that you're supposed to get that $1,000 tonight and you don't do it, as soon as you step foot out of this building, your whole family tree is cursed. Shia, she's still. She's still. What the lady say? She's still. Tell her I said it. Tell her I said it. She stills. Yes, she stills. Let her know that I see her. She stills. Baby, baby, but before you give, we don't want no hoe money. No whore, no hoe, no hoism, no tramp, no lady of the night, no children of the night, no Miss Coochie Cat, no Miss Punani Giver, no Miss Olivia Lost and Turned Out. We don't want none of that. We don't want that money. No, that's bad money. Not all money is good money. Saints say all money ain't good money. I can't hear you. I said saints, yeah. All money ain't good money. Oh. It ain't good money. Also, we don't want no homosexual money. We don't want no Haggard money. We don't want no bundle of sticks money. We don't want no pack of cigarettes money. We don't want no Hershey Patrolman money. We don't want no fudge packer money. We don't want no twinkle farts money. We don't want no rainbow booty money. We don't want no sweet booty money. We don't want no man booty money. We don't want no booty money. If you have the money in between your booty cheeks, we don't want it. We want only the righteous money. We only want the saved money. We only want the Holy Ghost filled lead fire and brimstone fire baptized and steel ass money. But if these people were to ask for that, they would go broke. Because the money is coming from the quote unquote sinners. Y'all don't do y'all research, do y'all? This is why I speak the way that I speak. Church, you listening? Because I've done my research outside the book. If that book is the only way for God to manifest, then you failed the mission, girl, because the purpose is for God to manifest outside the book. And if you pay attention, there is a figure in that book by the name of Jesus that inhabits this energy that I call love energy. And from my perspective, how I interpret it, it's different for everybody else. I'm talking about the connection here, the basic connection. It's called Christ energy or love. That Christ energy showing up through Jesus. The one that this Christianity is marketed after. And baby, if you were to do your research about how the hell we got here, and I understand why y'all don't want to be honest. And I wish I could have found that clip from Take Heed from the Message. I was trying to look for it earlier, but I couldn't find it. But, baby, if you were to love people the way that Christ did, a lot of y'all would lose your faith. And I mean lose your faith in the system. Because when you actually see what the system has done to these people, you would feel some type of way about yourself. We can talk about the queer community and how the queer community has hurt other queer people. We can definitely talk about that. That's not a problem or issue. Because later on in the live, again, it's going to be a lengthy one, Nick Jones talks about where the queer community feel like they can never be called out and that they do no wrong. No. We're not perfect and we're not exempt. We understand that. Some of us are still learning how to deal with that. It's the church that needs to learn that. It's the church that feel like they're the ones that can't be rebuked, that can't be corrected, that can't be critiqued. Because again, they're supposed to serve the people. If it wasn't for the people, the church would be nothing, which is why they're trying to raise all this Christianity things now. That's a poor way of saying it, Christianity things now. Girl, what? Upgrade, girl. This Christian nationalism, how it is skyrocketing out of nowhere. And when that happens, we know what time that is for queer people and for quote unquote oppressed groups in this system who choose liberation and not death. We know what's about to happen. It's about to be the culling gangs in this mug. And we know who is on the list. Because as we're going to see, not just with this video, but a video 15 years ago of KevOnStage standing true for 15 motherfucking years as far as being objective. In his moment when he talks about, oh, when I held my son in my arms and I made that affirmation to God between me and the creator of all things, because it's our personal relationship, I said I'm going to love my child no matter what, even though I've seen what other parents have done to their queer children and don't give a fuck about them. I choose to be different than that. And you see little hints of him with his progressiveness, and he was even called out then. Now, like he said, ain't none of y'all gonna whoop me. I'm 40-something years old, bitch, and I may have a little bit of a gut, girl, but it helps with these punches and these inertias to be able to help you see the Holy Ghost if you need help seeing it. Because you ain't gotta ask pastor, you ain't gotta ask reverend, you ain't gotta ask minister. You ain't gotta ask deacon, deaconess. You ain't gotta ask Jamal Bryant, Paula White, mother, whoever it is, girl. You ain't gotta ask them, girl. You can ask the Lord yourself, personally. That's what he was saying. We're gonna see that. But yet the other side's perspective has always been the same. And now we're living in an era where people can educate themselves and see for themselves. And a lot of those people have questions now. We're going to see how Nick Jones, again, another religious, conservative podcaster, is going to give us this Temu, social media, not the Proud Boys, but the boys who are proud, girl. Shout out to the boys. Make sure y'all watch it, girl. New episode coming out. Type of energy breakdown when it comes down to, oh, the thing about gay people. Y'all been saying the same shit about gay people for years. And the only people who have failed to evolve is y'all, which is why y'all feel some type of way. Which is why we know when God actually works in reference to correcting queer people, we know that that deals with violence and crimson fluid. And again, on this side, we have the statistics. We have the peer-reviewed and peer-edited studies. I have so many lives talking about this for hours. Now, there's some ignorant-ass people who, when they look down, they can't see their dick, nor can they see their kneecaps or toes, girl, but that gut is everlasting. Who may feel like for hours I'm up here just rambling and talking about dumb, stupid shit. But the funny part is that for the individuals who understand what I'm saying, girl, and those are people who know how to do the work, girl, they literally come to me with so many manifestations that just happen to be on the same side I'm on, objectively. Because again, I grew up in this system already rejected. So I had no choice but to learn to love myself. See, baby, in the words of Yvette Flunder, when you are in exile, they have created exile or push you into exile in hopes that it would either bring you back transformed to see it their way or to kill you. To be seen as a cautionary tale. But what them hoes don't understand, but you understand through the actual application and the faith and the self-love or the photosynthesis, like B-Slade has in my intro for my channel. Shout out to B-Slade, icon. KevOnStage, like the same guy. We like the same dude, he dope. That when you go through exile, there's a third option. You finally get to choose yourself, which was the missing component all the time. Why do you think organized religion wants you to deny yourself? Because if you were to actually acknowledge and affirm yourself, you'll realize that you were the fucking key to your own blessing all along because it's your blessing. But if you were to do that, organized religion would lose its power. And as the song said, it will never lose its power. Even if that means destroying the people who are walking in their truth. Baby, I know y'all really want this to be like so cookie cutter and so easy, but this is the part that Christ talked about, baby. This path that's a little more constricted, girl. Y'all think it's because of sins. No, it's not. It's because of self-love and self-alignment. To be in the world, but not of the world. And before I get off this damn soapbox for this little segment, because again, I have to pause it or transform it in nature, girl. It's a part of the process. And it helps me to better myself. Christ knew that a lot of y'all was going to struggle with the complexities of spirituality. Even I'm learning that. Even I'm still a baby in spirituality. But Christ said, even though there's all these complexities and there's depths and levels to this, girl, to simplify it or give you a starter kit or a foundation to build on, do these two things. Love the Lord God with all your heart, mind, body, spirit, and soul. All things, which includes you. It includes you. That means all of you, even the parts of you that you don't want people to see, all the parts of you that you feel are ugly, all the parts of you that feels insecure, makes you feel scared, makes you feel vulnerable, that all those areas deserve love. And when you actually love those areas and give them a different perspective through love, that is what transforms. That is the radical work. That I'm choosing to love somebody even though society is choosing to not love them. And then y'all wonder why a lot of these people who are broken and hurt, instead of the church doing its part to give back to these people go out into the world and be looking for love and end up in the wrong places. And then when they're completely broken and on the brink and on the brim of giving up, now organized religion could come through and be the remedy to all the problems and the issues. And I can see how that's attractive to people who maybe have never been in the church, or because they grew up in a country that is Christian at large as far as its faith, they hear about Christianity all the time. Even the rappers and the real unalivers, girl, still reference God and hoping that God doesn't judge them, yet they judge queer people. But still, everybody thinks about church. Grandmama went to church. We've seen movies, especially in the black community. We've seen movies about Big Mama and Daddy going to church all the time and just come to church. My father was the same thing. Come on, come to church, come to church. Invite your friends to church. Come to church. I lived that experience. I lived it. But when you have people like myself and like KevOnStage who grew up in this, who were young in this, and I mean, when I was young, I have to find a way to screen record or whatever, but I have clips of me singing at different churches, representing the church, and I'm like 8, 9, 10 years old. I've been behind the scenes that a lot of the churchgoers, a lot of the congregants don't get to see. I've been in spaces and heard conversations that everybody else did not actually objectively hear. Now, maybe it's spread around the church and there's gossip going on, but to objectively hear it, I was able to do that. And yes, if the church wants to be a leader or wants to be the harbinger of leadership and salvation and freedom, they also have to be the first to live by and exemplify the rules that they want everybody else to follow. And I can understand why when Christianity gets judged, it's very convenient to say, oh, well, I mean, nobody but Jesus can do that. Jesus was the only one that's perfect. I mean, I'm going to sin. I'm going to make mistakes. My goal is to try to be like Jesus, but I will never be like Jesus because Jesus is the only one. Even though in the book, if you read, that same Jesus said that you will go forth and do far greater works than me. That he had his own posse, experience miracles on their own accord because they believed. And that's the missing point. Let me shut up. We're going to be here for a minute. Make sure you hit that like button. But let's continue.
Green, blue is blue. Copper is copper, silver is silver.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I just always found it. It's like, yo, you can't choose your sin.
And you know what, Cam? I think you're hitting on something that I've thought, and I'm talking about in my family. I'm always trying to keep it personal because
You have to. I've learned that in content. Yes.
I'm talking about what I've seen.
Right.
What was the most damaging thing in my Christian walk is I thought we was all playing by the same rules. We was telling me drinking is a sin. For example, this is in my life. Okay, drinking is a sin. We ain't supposed to drink.
Right.
Okay, drinking's bad. I'm never gonna do it. I find a bottle of Seagram's extra dry gin behind my grandma TV.
No way.
I said, hold on now. Stop. What this is? Hot gin. I drank some.
No, you did.
Absolutely, I did.
Did you catch the Holy Ghost?
No, I didn't catch the Holy Ghost. I got my throat burned to hell. Gin is hot gin. It was behind a big booty TV.
It gets hot.
It gets hot behind that TV. So later on in life, I remember I come back from college to visit my grandma, and my aunt was a preacher at this time. She has some Zimas in the refrigerator. and some daiquiris. I was like, hold on, I thought drinking was a sin. She was like, I mean, for you, because you ain't 21. I was like, nah, my whole life y'all said drinking is a sin. She was like, I mean, well, you ain't supposed to get drunk, and we just say some of those things because we don't want new believers to think they can do stuff.
Pause. No Hilmu. A family member who was a part of the faith, who would preach all these things, was able to get some of that gin, and hide it behind what KevOnStage calls a big booty television, all that heat, thinking they was being slick, but out of the mouth of babes and the curiosity of children, they will always find your motherfucking blind spots. So now when the little child decided to be like, hold on, didn't you technically say that this is the case? And instead of them saying, you know what, you're right, the Lord worked through you to catch me. I need to throw this away, and I slipped and I fell down, but I'm gonna get back up, as Donnie says. No. She just said, I know we're not supposed to do that and say that, but low-key, we just do that because we don't want new believers, to feel like we ain't got no rules, stuff, they can just do whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, or it's a front, it's performative, which is why, again, they okay with the gay shit, which is why the DL community is where it is now, because organized religion also plays a part in that. Even though that's kind of crazy, because when these people quote unquote slip up and fall, they worried about man instead of worried about God, because God sees all and knows your thoughts as you're doing it, right? But yet that's excluded because it was never about God. It was about what man would do, because the only time that God manifests, especially against queer people, is through man and the destruction of that. And that's point blank, period. And again, if what I'm saying is blasphemy, I need for you to let me know in the comments. Because again, God is watching you. That's not me baiting at all. I'm just trying to understand. Because again, we can agree to disagree. I know that that's a possibility. You don't have to agree with queerness. That's fine. But it's a part of this life experience. And I'm sorry, I don't care what your books say. Y'all don't own all of reality. If y'all did, none of us would die. But since we do, we're all gonna have a day to say goodbye. So do we really own all this? Or are we just renting? So if we renting, worry about your rent. No shade. But yeah, shout out to the children calling out the hypocrisy. That's why I know these C19 babies, girl, they addicted to these damn computer screens and shit like that. Baby, I can't wait. They're going to be clocking the hell out of parents. That's why I'm so glad that when I do become one, it will be intentional. I don't have to worry about no uh-oh moments. And now, no, baby, I'm going to be intentional with my shit. No shade. I guess that's a perk of being gay, girl. Shout out to that perk.
Y'all said it was a sin.
I want law.
I was living my life based on this. And now I'm finding out that it ain't what y'all say it is. And then as I got older, I started working in the church, start being around more gospel artists and pastors and stuff.
Exposed to a lot.
I just realized that what a lot of people say from the pulpit on social media isn't necessarily the life they actually live or the things they believe. Watch this. I've had plenty of pastors come to me, pull me to the side and be like, low-key, I'm with you on, how you feel about gay people. I just know from the pulpit, I can't say that.
Girl, you can't make this up. What? I don't know why, but I had just like a deja vu moment, and I'm gonna lean into that. Baby, I literally I'm gonna have to reach out to him. I have a associate of mine named Russell. R Russell, got my God and my hustle girl. A independent LGBT gospel artist who sang behind other gospel artists, especially when they were working the chitlin circuit. Because when you in music, you got to work through the little path first before you get to greater things. But they worked the chitlin circuit and sang behind people and been to all type of convocations and stuff like that, and literally tells me that, girl, at these convocations, it be sissy land. I low-key want to go. But it's called Sissyland, bro. Ain't nothing but sissies in the church choir, barking and shit. You even have undead ones like Wilhelmina, the lost one girl, the forgotten one, up in church recording other homosexual men talking about, look at that sissy, big old cell trying to hold his stuff in and over there bouncing like a woman. Meanwhile, you looking like a bald head, saggy ass motherfucking, what's them bald head cats that ain't got no hair? Looking like something like that, girl. But there are contradictions there. And for pastors to be able to pull niggas to the side as if though God ain't watching, girl, in all ways. But again, care about men. I mean, no shade, bro. I'm with you with that shit. Because I feel convicted in my spirit. But I can't say that publicly, because if I do, then I have to deal with the backlash. I have to deal with the blowback. And that also means that if I stand in agreement with that, that some of my loyal, faithful patrons who give every Sunday or every time we have church, girl, and that fucking plate go around, girl, I will lose money for the quote-unquote church building fund, even though we ain't put a doorknob on this and shit. And again, what profits a man to gain the world? And again, these people are performing publicly, but it's harming people publicly and privately. But y'all don't want to be held accountable for that. Harold wanted me to run something back. Harold says, baby, the part about Christianity really being okay with Christians but choosing to condemn it because it makes them uncomfortable to see it expressed right in front of their faces. Yes. Which is why they will allow the gay choir director to come through and direct the choir. That's why they will, again, even though God ain't gonna compromise, we can compromise on God's behalf. You know how to play, you know how to sing, you know how to serve. Now you ain't gonna never preach. We ain't gonna give you a mic to express yourself. You ain't about to be no leader in this motherfucker. What you finna do is serve and shut the hell down and get the word in your system. Because even again with ex-gays, they were told or sold that if you just stop being intimate with men, that you will be saved, girl. But yet, they don't know how to deliver themselves from the mannerisms and the hand shit. They don't know how to stop all this. They don't really know how to stop that S from stinging when they talk, girl. They can't do any of that. But yet, when they come in and say, I'm going to abstain from sex and just live a holy lifestyle, because like Christopher Yuan said, when we were watching the goddamn ex-gay programming, introduction, CD-ROM, Tim and Eric Awesome Show type shit, girl, that God did not call you to be straight. God called you to holiness. But when they try to walk down that holiness path, there is still an expectation from the church that you be transformed, which means that now, instead of you ride, in the words of Andrew Caldwell, I don't get hard for men no more. I get hard for women's. Women's. And you're supposed to produce children because, as Nick Jones is going to say later on in the live, that the only way that you are honoring God with your body is through procreation and nothing else, because there's no room for nothing else. Baby, this shit is so damn deep, and I think a lot of y'all realize that the shit is too deep, but y'all don't want to cast y'all nets into the depths of God and then judge other people who are doing that, or at least are attempting to do that. Because again, KevOnStage and Cam Newton, even to Harold's shock of Cam Newton, have the awareness and the information, as we're going to see KevOnStage, the application of what that love looks like. I can be friends with heterosexual people. I'm not thinking about my friend and his girlfriend smashing or what the hell that looks like. That does not run through my mind. I'm friends with my homeboy because that's my boy. That's it. But if you hang around a gay person and your mind automatically goes to booty, a part of me feels like you want some and you ain't gonna get none over here. So you might as well go to hell somewhere else, okay? Because no shade, I'm a top and I put that on life, girl. I paint. That's how much of a top I am. Let's go.
Because then I'll lose some of my flock. And I'm like, so do you believe it or don't you believe it? And I think because I'm not a pastor, false teacher, I'm not bound. I don't have a flock to try to keep you like, I don't have that. I just have my life. I have my kids. Like my oldest son, when he first voted the first time, you know, the main reason he voted, his homegirl is a lesbian. He was like, I want her to be able to marry who she wants. This is important to me to defend her rights. Like, I gotta answer to my kids. I want my kids to be proud of me, and I want to be able to explain everything that I believe. I don't want to be like, but you know how my dad is. Like, I'm also open to learning and change. I realize a lot of times in church, people are not open to understanding that what they were taught might not have been correct. I grew up in churches, this is no disrespect to my pastors. None of my pastors ever went to seminary. They weren't masters in divinity. They weren't PhDs in theology. They were just studying on their own. The internet really exposed me to a lot of different thoughts. A lot of pastors who were masters in divinity went to theology school, went to seminary. They're challenging me, but I'm a person that likes to be challenged.
Love it.
A lot of people don't want anything to be challenged because, wait a second, if gay people ain't wrong, then what is? And a lot of people don't want to wrestle with any of that conviction because if this ain't true, then what is true?
Thank you for saying that because that was the part. Again, shout out to Take Heed to the Message on YouTube. Even though she has her own perspective about queer people, she treated me with respect and I treated her with respect. That's what you can do. That's called being cool. So again, shout out to that beautiful chocolate melanated queen that no shade. If I was straight and you were single, baby, I would try to push up, girl, because even though I'm 5'2", baby, this leprechaun can do all type of things. But she said something in response to a panel discussion that both she and I was a part of on another platform. And when she was giving her recollection of that experience where she kind of, said that she enjoyed me on the platform, even though some other niggas who can probably wear the same bra size as her or more lied and said that I was offending her, but yet she on her own live said she was not offended. So anyway, again, she said something in reference to an individual who I believe was a pastor or a doctor, I can't forget who it was, who also was a Christian and was speaking about being pro-queer in reference to love is concerned. We're going to love the queer people. We may not understand them, but that's not our job to understand as far as everything about them. That's between them and their creator. Our job is to love these individuals. And she felt some type of way about that. She stated that she was like conflicted in her spirit with that. And she uttered something along the lines of, if what he said about gay people is true, and I've been taught otherwise, that could mean that everything that I was taught was a lie. And that is the fear that KevOnStage is talking about. Now again, maybe the saving grace in the midst of my bullshit growing up, being bullied and stuff like that, was the fact that the ego death that a lot of Christians are having in this experience, I already had that at a young age. Again, if you want to know more about BubzDaGawd, you can check out my mini docu-series called Wonderfully Made, where I give my own recollection of some of my childhood in reference to me being same gender loving and being part of a religious household, who was a part of a larger religious community, and the mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological damage that was done to me and that I also participated in doing to myself because I didn't have any sort of healthy representation. Because even for people who are religious or Christian and wants to find like the common ground with queer people and our life experience, I mean, if y'all were cool with queer people getting married and believing in monogamy and wanting to also have family, that also works in y'all favor. Like, see, y'all the ones not even looking at the bigger fucking picture. if you were to love, honor, and cherish these people just like how you love, honor, and cherish everybody else in the church, then I promise you Christianity will grow, because now they would feel more loving and accepted. And in this world, people literally want to be a part of a community where they feel safe and connected. We are human beings. We are a communal species. We need some camaraderie. And there's so much more camaraderie, all the answers to all the problems that we are all experiencing, despite our differences in opinions. We low-key could come together and remedy a lot of this shit, but we gotta work through the fear part. And when you have people like KevOnStage and Cam Newton who are willing to state, and again, to KevOnStage's defense, because that's what we're using tonight, or as a springboard, was able to do for 15 plus years, he's the one that's being judged by the same group of people that he grew up with. And baby, this is not some uncommon shit. There is a book that I read on my YouTube channel, again on my lives when I was reading books. I need to get back to doing that. It was called The Cross in the Closet by Timothy Keurig, and I hope to interview him one day. A white, cisgendered man, heterosexual man, who was Christian and privileged, went to a Bible college. Everything was God, 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 everything God, God, God. All experiences of life, all parts, everything was just God, God, God. And not God as far as the natural, holistic way and seeing the God in other people, but the organized religion, robotic ass God, 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 century God, God, looking around God type stuff. Went to a biblical college. There were queer people who were having open discussions about queerness on the grounds. Of course, you pulled up to a religious institute talking about queerness. Of course, big crowd came through. Timothy came through and came as the knight in shining armor. You guys are wrong. You guys are going to hell. How dare you? Just literally going in, getting cool points, literally being looked at other conservatives like, we can use that guy. Like, that guy is really good. His passion, we need him. But Timothy was gagged by that gay man, because in the midst of all that shit, the gay man said, that's perfectly fine if that's what you believe. God love you anyway. And that took him aback, and he's like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be the one that's supposed to, no, you don't get to put an Uno reverse card on me. You don't get to put a flip shit on. You don't get to twist me over and pull the rug from underneath my feet. That's my job. And that sat with him. There was another experience that happened that kind of helped him to be empathetic in reference to queer people's plights and their own lived experiences. Again, the same experience that unconsciously Timothy was playing into. And Timothy decided to do something that I know a lot of you Christians would never do. He said, you know what? For a whole year, I'm going to do this experiment where I'm going to pretend to live as a gay man. I'm not gonna have gay sex, because baby, I don't do that. That's my limit. But as far as being around queer people in queer spaces, talking to them, understanding their culture, again, walking through the valley of the shadow of death, but I have no fear because thou art with me, girl. They were willing to do that. And for a whole year, they learned so much, even though they were able to understand where a lot of queer people went through and had to get to in reference to a level of self-love when their family members literally were giving up on them. Baby, read the book or listen to me read the book if you want. Dope ass read. But again, there's so much information about people learning to love queer people. And y'all equate love with judgment. But again, how would you feel? And if you're okay with like, hell, shit, if it was me, I wouldn't mind people judging me like this. If that was the case, then cool. I can't critique you on that. At least you being honest. At least you're able to walk in what you're giving. But a lot of y'all can't receive what y'all giving. And then y'all feel some type of way when y'all do have that experience. Especially through the way of BubzDaGawd, no shade. Anyway, let's continue.
So I'd rather be like this, and I'm not even trying to change your mind. I'm just saying,
I got you.
I'm actually I'm very similar to you. I'm very curious. I'm asking questions. When I was a kid, they shut that down. When I was a man, I could seek out more answers. Yeah. And this is how I decide to live my life. If that makes you mad, that is okay.
For sure.
I'm not gonna change.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy.
Now, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm eating something. This 15 plus years ago, this is a video proving that KevOnStage has been standing on business. Let me shut the hell up and y'all listen.
KevOnStage. And I am Playmaker Jason Fredericks. He's here in LA, man.
I'm here, man.
Y'all
Tired,
see him?
man. Kevin got me on these videos. As soon as I get here, it's to work.
He spent the night last night.
I had to, man.
My brother slept on my floor on the head of my truss.
I did, man.
He's my brother and I love him like myself. All right, so we were talking on Twitter yesterday. Actually, me and Jay and my friends were talking about it in our chat, so I put it up on YouTube, or excuse me, Twitter. Let's talk about it. The question was, why do you think the church treats gay people so differently?
I think they treat them so differently because, as we were saying, it was considered the ultimate sin, the abomination, the thing that was so against the normality of what everybody did that it was like, oh my God, you can't do nothing if you're gay.
Right. Now listen, let's go to Twitter and see what Twitter said about it. So I put the question up on Twitter. Here's a couple of the answers. Because they be gay themselves, because they feel like they're supposed to, which is what me and Jay talked about. Unfortunately, some think the sin is unforgivable, which is not true. The church has yet to learn how to address all sin. Because it's a sin that we can outwardly see, which Jay just said. It's the same thing when women get pregnant outside of marriage because their sin is out. You get sat down. It's just like the Scarlet Letter, really.
Yes.
That's a hard one. I think it's just the idea of what goes on in a gay relationship intimately that makes it unforgivable among the saints. Somebody else said they're trying not to condone sin. However, Jesus is the lion and the lamb. The duality is what we have yet to master, but we need to. So they're saying it's a lot of the same things as Jay. Now their top two was really interesting because me and Jay were talking about this. We said that we feel like church culture, not necessarily the pastor, or the leadership, but the church, the people in the church, you're taught more so than anything that gayness is wrong and how to, like growing up apostolic, me and Jay did, it was like the cardinal sin. It was like whatever, Hester Rose in the Scarlet Letter, that's what gayness was. Like
exactly.
The most crazy thing, that you could do was be gay.
And it's so the other thing is because you can't procreate. You can't create children from that type of relationship. And when people think about it, it's just in your natural sense, nobody has a child and says, if they're gay, I'll be okay with it. Everybody hopes their child doesn't be gay. Like I literally ask my children, and I'll say, well, do you have a boyfriend? They'll say no. Do you have a girlfriend? And they'll be like, Dad, no. I'll be like, hey, I gotta ask.
Right.
Not because I'm gonna judge them, because I just want to see where they're at.
Right.
And it's just in this day and age, it almost seems like it's a fad for some people. You don't necessarily know where people are coming from.
Right.
But when it comes with the church, we're taught not to be judgmental, but we're some of the most judgmental people of others, unforgiving of others, backbiters. We're probably the most hypocritical people of everybody that is in the world, and it's kind of funny. It's a shame, but it's the truth.
And it's interesting that you say your kids, because I felt that way. Before I had a kid, my son better not be gay.
He better
blah,
not.
blah, blah.
He better not.
Right? But once you have a kid, like, I think having kids taught me more about unconditional love than having a wife, right? Because I didn't create Melissa. I didn't have to care and nurture her.
You didn't?
No, she came, bro. She was big already.
Wow.
But the kids, you have a part in their creation, and they literally have nothing. Like, if you don't care for them, they will die. So that love that a parent has, I can't imagine, if my son says he's gay, I can't imagine just being like, depart from me, you worker of iniquity, I know you're not. I wouldn't be happy, but I wouldn't cast him away like I used to think I would. Now here's the other thing. People are like, well, what if that's a joke? There's a lot of things I wouldn't want my son to be outside of being
drug
gay.
Dealer?
I wouldn't want to be a drug, just as much as gay.
Right.
A drug dealer, a gang, a murderer, addicted to drugs. That's another thing. Me and Jay have a cousin who's addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Right.
Like,
Very
that
hard.
was really hard. You know he knows right.
Yeah.
You know he knows what he's doing to his body is wrong.
And he has this addiction that's driving him a different way, and you don't know how to help.
And he's raised the same way as us. That's another thing we talked about. He raised in the same church as us. Parents, You know, he had a 2-parent home. We didn't even have that for a lot of our childhood. So it's not, none of his other siblings turned out this way. So it's not like a parenting thing. There was nothing wrong with him. He wasn't molested. None of that stuff. He had every opportunity every other kid had. He just made these choices, and his parents didn't change anything else. Now, a couple of things I want to mention too. I was talking to Kenny about this, and he was saying one of his pastor's, friends, she's a lesbian, like, takes hormone pills and beard and everything. And her dad was like, dude, this is my daughter. I love her. Like, she's in the family photos with the beard and everything. And he's like, and Ken was just like blown away, but he was like, what are you supposed to do? That's your daughter. What are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like, and another thing that messed me up, I was watching MTV, and it was like True Life, I'm Gay or something like that. And it was saying that, like, if the parents of that gay kid, like, shun them, they have like a 70% chance of suicide.
Yep. It's an acceptance thing. I mean, it's just
the fact that 2 confident heterosexual men, black men at that, are willing to be this objective about homosexuality and to be this honest about homosexuality, especially as Christians. These are individuals who don't just live in organized religion. That is a part of their identity, but they also have to go out into the world and connect with other people. And the fact that, again, no shade, let's be honest, a lot of parents wouldn't want their children to be queer because of all that's going to come with it systemically, socially, culturally, especially if you're a part of organized religion, because again, organized religion needs its scarlet letter sins in order to uphold and keep the illusion going. Which is why, again, they've been conditioned to treat these people like trash, even though no shade, if it wasn't for these people, a lot of their infrastructure wouldn't even exist. There would be some off-key, bad body shaped, bad makeup, hair job, non-running ass church. They would be, these niggas would be praising God in the dark, going back, stomping and clapping and shit, if it wasn't for queer people who enhance the gospel industry. Again, so many, girl, let me shut up because I'm going on a tangent with this, but shout out to them being able to be this objective. And their parents and their fathers, who also admitted that there was a point in time where it was like, my son better not be gay. My son, my son, my son. And shout out to the parents or the fathers who went through that, like my father, because there was a fear that not only what would people think about my son, what would men think about me as a man and as a father? Because according to society, I failed somewhere. The only time you fail as a parent is when you stop being one. And my father had to go through the fear of his son being queer. Shout out to the bards, okay? And walk through unconditional love to where now my father is at a place to where it's like, look, whoever it is that makes you happy, that's what's important to me. You deserve to be happy. And I'm grateful and thankful to have parents like that, because unfortunately, there are a lot of queer people who don't have that type of connection with their parents, which is very fucking sad. Especially when, again, you claim to be connected to a savior that will never leave nor forsake, but allegedly will if you're this way. Let's continue to hear more from the progressive Christians.
I don't know how I would deal with it as a parent. I would be hurt, but I wouldn't. I mean, that's my child.
Yeah. Same thing like if Zayzay got a girl pregnant at 14, 15, 16, you'd be like, dude, what are you doing?
It's my child, man. At the end of the day, it's mine, and as a parent, I'm responsible for their well-being. Right. Now, at some point, they are going to make their own choices, and all I can do as a parent is help them, guide them, and then when they get in those situations, hopefully that my teachings and everything that I said will help them make the choice, the right choice, and whatever the right choice is for them, because they're young adults, all of them. Right. You know, they're young adults. They're creating they're making their own habits and ways and things about their own life, their own identities, and I couldn't imagine. I know every generation that said this. I couldn't imagine growing up in their generation.
Right.
And I definitely couldn't because everything is so out there from going. You're talking about it. It's Facebook, it's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's all over the place. As soon as you say anything, and kids readily identify themselves with those things right now. So a lot of times when kids are searching for identity, they attach themselves to different things that everybody else is doing. And you hope as a parent, when you bring them back home and you take them out of the world and you're in your home talking to them, that some of the things that you're telling them and you're teaching them are gonna just resonate in their mind later. But I will say this to parents, and you guys already know this, what you show them is gonna do more than what you're gonna tell them.
Right. So, and here's an interesting thing, like when I was talking about this, the gay pastors on Twitter, and one of the comments that I saw a lot is if we accept them, it's a spirit of tolerance, right? Now, the church, to me, has a spirit of tolerance for other sins.
Yeah.
Right? I was talking to my boy, he will remain nameless. He's a musician at church, right?
Yeah.
And I asked him the same question, why do you think the church, treats gay people differently? And he was like, yo, they could come to church, but they can't operate, they can't, do nothing. They can just sit down and learn the word. Now, I called him on it. I was like, okay, but you've been fornicating for years.
Right.
Right? Like, he watches porn, has sex.
He put the foreign in fornication.
Everything.
I'm foreign.
But he's on the drums every Sunday.
Right.
Because his sin is one of the ones that we understand.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
it's hard, bro.
Right.
It's hard.
Exactly.
It's hard, bro.
It's just like
I'm
David
screaming.
and Nathan. Like
Right.
Nathan
It's hard,
told
bro.
David,
It's
what would
hard.
you do to a man who had all these goats and he went and took somebody else's goat? It's one goat. What would you do? Well,
it is on and everything.
Right. But when it's you,
dude, it's like,
it's harder to see. Like we never see our own sins the way. And I think it's funny because I was watching the Bible and it was the part the Bible on the History Channel, and it was the one where they stoned the woman, right? She's an adulterer. Let's stone her. And Jesus is like, well, he's without sin, cast the first stone. So once the onus is back on you, then it's like.
I think I'm less judgmental than most because I know my own struggles.
Man, I think that for me, 3 things help me. I'm very aware of my own sin.
Man, for real.
My family has every sin you can think of. People in jail, everything. We can't even tell you the things because you guys wouldn't believe it.
You guys wouldn't even understand it.
People, gay members in we have everything, and our family is so tight knit. There's no outcasts, right? And we just aren't raised that way. So if I shun you, I'm shunning my own family member. And also the thing I think, and this is the most interesting thing, right? So we were both fornicating for a long time.
Thanks, bro.
Right? But what helped us, right? It was people loving us in the church,
right?
While we were yet in sin. Now this took years for us to get right. While we were yet in sin, people loving us, inviting us to their house, to church picnics, just loving us. And then we go into church. We worked in the church. They let us work in auxiliaries, and then the word pricked our heart as we went. Slowly but surely. Pricked our heart. Now the way we treat gay people as a church, we don't offer them that same opportunity. We don't welcome them. This is just my church. Maybe your church is different. I'm talking about the churches I've been in for the last 30 years. We don't welcome them. We don't allow. Okay, we do allow them to operate. There's a lot of gay choir directors. That's not a stereotype, but that's the truth. And on another note, we have a lot of friends in the gospel industry that tell us that
so and so is gay.
80% of the music you hear is from gay people, either the writer, producer, or artist. I've heard the names. I don't want to name the names, but I was appalled, right? My favorite artist of all time really is Tone.
Yeah.
Right? And he didn't even struggle. He said, I'm in struggle.
Again, y'all can go ahead. There's a part 2 if you want to hear more about his explanation on Tone. Bffloww, formerly known as Tone. No shade. Again, you can click the link down below. All of the content is in the description box. So if you want to see part 2, that's dope. I wish you would. No shade. And again, shout out to him being able to have that conversation, to have the platform that he has, especially at that time, becoming viral and stuff. I'm glad he was able to have more objective conversations. Shout out to Lexi Allen, if I'm not mistaken her last name, from the Lexi Show, was willing to have more objective conversations. Like, that is what Christianity is supposed to be about. Like, being able to connect with other people, and though we may think differently, if I love them, there's got to be a gray area. And God gonna give me the answer to love them. If only they could do it for queer people. But then again, if they did it for queer people, a lot of the system would fall. That's the sad part. And to keep it from falling, some people unfortunately are going to be casualties of war. Or at least they think. Anyway, now we're going to get into Durand Bernarr. This is just like a little excerpt. I was trying to find a video of KevOnStage and Durand Bernarr. I think they both was tipsy or drunk singing at somebody's wedding or some sort of formal event. I couldn't find it. But this is the video from a podcast that KevOnStage has on iHeartRadio where he was talking to Durand Bernarr, and they were talking about their favorite pastime, and one of them being anime. And no shade, Durand Bernarr, I'm not shooting my shot, girl. But I just want to let you know, girl, that you always been fine. Even back in the day when you was Alcohol Harmony with Let Us Pray and all the other type of stuff, you always been a fine ass nigga, fine ass ninja. I am attracted to butch queens. I'm attracted to feminine men's, baby. And all I can say is that I hope that the universe bless me with a nigga that's like you, not just based on how you look. It ain't just your booty, okay? It's also your beauty. But at the same time, girl, the way that you think, I feel like if I attracted someone like you, girl, it'd be like, damn, after sex, girl, we could just sit there and smoke some weed and talk for hours and hours and hours about all type of shit, girl. Thank you, Jesus. You know what I'm saying? That'll be dope to also have a partner that can sing, girl, because if you sing on my birthday, I'm gonna be crying and all type of stuff or whatever. But at the end of the day, he's sharing his perspective on a different type of anime, because him and KevOnStage watch animes, and I do too. Shout out to the animes, girl. And an anime that I would suggest that you watch, Durand, for your homoerotic pleasure, if you haven't watched it yet, it's Baki Hunma. Almost every person in that show is thick. It could be a homeless man thick. It could be a goddamn thug, the thug is thick. It could be a damn doctor, the doctor is thick. It could be a pastor, the pastor is thick. So if you want to see all things thick, as far as anime, check out Baki Hunma, and that's really a good anime in reference to fighting and all that type of shit. Anyway, let me shut the hell up. Go ahead, Durand Bernarr. Talk your shit.
When I'm not on, I be chilling. It's giving.
Yeah.
Where's my Dutch at? Let me watch my stories, which is my anime now. Okay. I got into anime.
Oh, I
got
love
into
that
anime.
you're-
It's been a year. It's been a year. I'm an evangelist for it. Wait. Have you gotten into what is it? Jujutsu Kaisen? Jujutsu Kaisen?
I'm all caught up.
All right,
I'm
with
all
the
caught up on the
Devil
anime.
May Cry.
Before he get into that, Jujutsu Kaisen, they have the Culling Games. I think it's the newest one that came out. And I'm gonna have to watch that because I haven't caught it yet. But shout out to Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay. And yes, Devil May Cry was good. I hope you have watched Castlevania and the spin-off Castlevania, girl. Netflix got some good ass animes. Good ass anime. Shout out to Netflix.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Ooh. Kaiju number 8.
That's
number
on
8
my
is
list.
good.
I'm trying to finish
It's
One
good.
Piece before I started to become.
Hurry up and watch Kaiju number 8. Oh, God, it's so good. Okay, yes. But yes, I'm an evangelist now for anime, so I'll just be watching my stories. I want to be.
Now, I wanted to show that clip because look at how Durand Bernarr is going to be Durand Bernarr wherever the fuck he is. Y'all saw him at the Grammys, girl. Walking. Oh, girl, down the way. Walked in his truth, his sassy, zesty ass truth that he's always been walking in and was confident in, even though he had his moments of struggle, internal struggle, girl. Erykah Badu came through, girl. They always say when Erykah Badu looked you in your eyes, you gonna have to learn some shit, but was able to walk in his truth to where he is an independent artist and won a Grammy. Not backed by any sort of machine to manufacture shit. This nigga was organically himself from the beginning, girl. Shout out to his parents that we're going to get into with this clip, girl. Was able to create a safe space for him to where it's like, I don't give a fuck what y'all hoes say. If my mommy and daddy love me, that's all that matters to me. Because I've written a letter to daddy. Girl. But let's take a listen at Durand Bernarr talking about his father and his mother, who are still together. No shade. Loving on their son, their black son, their black queer son, and their black queer butch queen son. Let's take a listen.
He got a father and a Grammy. I know the homophobes extra hot. Sis, you really took my breath away
with this right here, because it takes me back to the intention behind having my father there, specifically on the red carpet, because niggas have played in my face, specifically when I was growing up, because they just knew I did not have a father. Specifically an active father in my household. Only to discover that they were projecting. And my inner child just, when he sees shit like this, he's like, he is getting his fucking life. It is beyond like, nah. Like, it is beyond that shit. This. Because they just knew he was not there. And he's always been there.
Ooh.
And I wanted people to see that. I wanted people to see.
Girl, that's why you can't sit up here and tell certain motherfuckers, girl, that God is not with them, girl, that the Father is not with them, girl, because his Father was with him along the way. I know he will, yes, Lord. I know he will, yes, Lord. He was there the entire time. When he went to the grocery store and got milk, he came back the same day. No shade. It's not everybody's experience. Doesn't mean something wrong with you. But again, it's the fact that y'all love throwing out these motherfucking stereotypes and perspectives and projections on queer people and then feel gagged when it's like, not this one, boo. Not this one, boo. Sorry. Next, 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 next. And just like Durand Bernarr, my father has been in my life actively, has grown and evolved to love the different versions of his son, because the same person I am today is not the person I was 7 years ago. So he also had to do his self-love working journey to evolve and grow. I grew up in a two-parent household. I don't have a recollection of anybody doing anything of actual abuse to me. I don't have any inner deep dark thoughts in the middle of the night that make me wake up in deep sweats of being actually abused. That's not my story. And for those who have, I hope and pray that y'all find the strength, and it's in you, to be able to move past things, because Nick Jones, not the mic, but Nick Jones later on in the live is going to say some shit, and we're going to have a little PowerPoint educational moment, okay? In reference to people who have been abused. But just know that you are worthy of love. And even though you have been hurt and abused, you still have to heal and to move on from that so that you can get what you need and deserve and require in life. Don't forget. Never forget. So that it don't happen again. And if a hoe try you, girl, you gonna take them to the night water. But here it is. Never had that experience. And yet I'm still gay. Durand grew up in an environment where, according to y'all, he should be heterosexual to this day. But this is where he is now. And I don't know his sexuality. I'm just going to say queer because it's an umbrella term and it's easier for me. But let's continue to hear and watch Durand ether these homophobic ass niggas who just feel like they know exactly what the hell they talking about, and they get their faces and they triple chins checked and cracked every single time.
See that. And it has fed people in a way that they didn't even realize that they were starving of. They just needed to see it. They just needed to see. That's my guy.
Girl, why I thought he was looking like, if he would have put his hands behind him like them niggas in high school and shit, they act like they Naruto characters and shit. That shit would have been hilarious. Go ahead. Go get your shit that you worked on. You talking about me and shit. Well, his son gay. Yeah, but do you got a Grammy, nigga? You niggas still out there trying to put mixtapes inside of goddamn Happy Meals and shit at McDonald's, hoping you blow up. And this nigga had his whole daddy there to win a Grammy with his gay ass, his queer ass. I know it stings. I know it stings. And if it stings, bitch, put some, I'm about to say Clorox bleach. Girl, put some alcohol or some Neosporin on it and let it heal.
Shit. Happy Black History Month for the rest of my life. Listen, I want to remind everyone that we are all we got, and we know who I'm referring to. So please give yourself some grace and extend your kindness to your neighbor who needs it, okay? I mean, with that being said, to the Recording Academy, thank you for the Grammy. To my parents, thank you for loving and supporting me in ways that will last me 10,000 lifetimes. Behind the Access, D-Sing Records, The Nucleus, Emerald Media, Create Music Group, my team, my village, my cousins, the visionaries who believed in me enough to help guide me forward. Okay, never straight. My family and friends, oh my God, thank you for being the wind beneath my wings at last. All of my personalities are weeping with joy right now. Thank you to the Academy, to my nominees. Mama, my mom and dad are here. Wait, and one last thing. One last thing. Whew. To all the independent artists out there, and to every butch queen who was made to feel like you were too much, I'm the proof that you needed and the sign you've been waiting for. Be yourself. And speaking of yourself, I want to thank myself because this was some hard work, y'all, 20 plus years. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
If you would have told the younger gay version of me that somebody like Durand Bernarr would win a Grammy and then get on stage and shout out Butch Queens, bitch, I wouldn't have believed you. Shout out Durand Bernarr, girl. Butch Queens are up times 10 right now.
No shade. That's why they mad. What's going on, Parker Boy? What's going on? I'm gonna have to grab another damn pre-roll for this, girl. Or my damn bong, that little small glass bong I found. Now, before we get into this shit, Durand Bernarr, and again, I remember watching him back when he was Alcohol Harmony. I was trying to find some videos to include where he talked about sexuality. I don't know if they're still up there or if they're on another channel because he had multiple channels. But to see his growth, and again, 20 plus years of being himself. We showed the video in the beginning of him singing Total Praise. And he didn't try to man up and stiffen up and, you know, I will live my... He didn't do all that. He was himself. His Erykah Badu-isms, hill, all that shit. He was himself. Took him 20 plus years to work hard. And imagine being yourself in a world that is telling you no, too much. And for that nigga to literally get on stage with a Grammy in his hand as an independent artist. He ain't suck no dick to get to where he at. He ain't get fucked to get to where he at. He ain't no 360 gonna get fucked on the back end with this. This nigga, and of course his father, if you do your research, travel with Earth, Wind, and Fire, so the nigga know about the business part. Are you kidding me? The fuck? Shout out to black people knowing about the economics of it all. He was able to do all that, get up there and literally say, I am a living testimony. I'm a living testament. I am in the manifestation of the fear that your ignorant ass pastor speaks on. Ignorant ass prophetess speaks on. Ignorant ass congregant speaks on. Ignorant ass trap Christian nigga speaks on. Ignorant ass red pill platform speaks on. And because he had his daddy, because he had everything that they say that that gay people and black motherfuckers ain't supposed to have, he's had that and had that since birth. And instead of that nigga getting up on his platform and literally talking down to you niggas talking about I can go to Thanksgivings, I can go to Christmas dinners, I can go to cookouts, I can pull up at my mama house and daddy house with my nigga, and they ain't gonna say nothing bad. See, he can get a plate. He can stay the night. Can y'all do that? But no, he is letting people know that at the end of the day, love yourself and you will find that. Now, no shade. It may not always be like Durand Bernarr, where you're going to have your biological parents there. But those who are meant to call to love you in life, no matter where you go, your real soul tribe, they will come to you and they will be in the form of something else. It may not have the same title, the same blood as you, but the energy that comes with that. But just because those are your biological parents don't mean that they love you or that they show you love, because if that was the case, the foster care system would not be where it's at today. So again, shout out to Durand Bernarr with his fine philosophical weed smoking ass. Shout out to his parents choosing to accept the mission of having kids and doing a damn good job at it. Because again, how many motherfuckers can say my son is a Grammy nominated motherfucker, and you know parents love bragging on their children. And shout out to the lucky motherfucker that get Durand, and all I gotta say is you better treat that nigga well, because if not, we will hear about it through song. Okay? Parker Boy says, to have your father support a black man means everything to a gay boy. And yes, happy belated 420. Let me go grab my shit in a minute, because baby, I just bought this. And I'm already smoking. Girl, good thing I got some edibles. I was going to eat an edible, and I'm like, nah, girl. But now we're going to get into Nick Jones. Now, for those of you who have been on this platform for a while, y'all know how Nick Jones give it up, baby. He is a Christian who was not born into this. He was newly initiated, hardly initiated, catch that pun, girl, into the thing. So he is very brainwashed. He is very just aligned in this way. And again, he has a huge platform. And of course, when you're in this deep, you feel like you can't turn around, girl. But we're going to listen to Nick Jones give commentary on KevOnStage in reference to him speaking about his love and acceptance of queer people. Even though there, again, may be things that he don't understand and possibly things he don't agree with, he still loves them instead of just judging them and then and being around them when they're done changing. Let's continue. Should I change up the music for this part? What do we got here? I gotta update my background music list. Hold on one second. I'm trying to find something. We can do. I'm sorry, y'all. Make sure I hit that like button. What can we do? Damn, what's this? No, I don't want that one, bro. He's not worthy of that one. Let me see. What's this? We can do this. It's fine. This fits into the whole narrative. Okay, let's listen to Nick Jones.
Okay, let's go to KevOnStage stuff. Higher learning. I think it's this one right here. Yeah, that's why I said that. I knew you was in here. That's why I said that. Okay, let's see what's going on with KevOnStage. Like I said, we don't have a lot of time. And we already wasting time. So KevOnStage was on Higher Learning Podcast with Van Lathan, formerly of TMZ, and some other woman. I don't know her name. I apologize. But he was on this podcast, and they have a conversation about everything, I'm assuming. I didn't even watch the podcast. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. But there's one.
So, girl, we already starting off not even watching the shit that we going to give commentary on it. Sometimes I've kind of done that, no shade. But I be in the energy and the alignment of what was going to happen, and 9 times out of 10, I'm in it. And when I'm not, I know how to call myself out. But no shade, just wanted to say that.
One specific moment that a lot of people seem to be talking about. So this part, scripture, sexuality, in the church. All right? So let's hear what Kev had to say, and let's see if it's warranting this type of outrage that I've been seeing. All right, let's go. Why do I look like that? I look like, y'all, I feel like I look red. Don't I look red? What's going on? Oh, it's probably the banner on the screen. Anyway, let's go.
No, I just thought that was interesting. I want to ask you about something else, specifically about the church.
Okay.
you just made this really cogent and interesting analysis about everything that we got from the church.
What's cogent?
And sometimes when I'm in criticism of the church, which I am
Google.
Quite often, I don't think about those things. I don't think about the cultural things that we harvested from the church.
Yeah.
A lot of people think about the things that the church harvests from us.
Yeah.
Money, influence, power, all of that stuff. And I think now, the Drewski skit, other things, because we're not in the church like we used to be, and because almost everything is up for analysis and over-analysis, we're asking questions about whether or not the church...
I don't like how red I look. I don't know what's going on. I think that helped it. Okay.
Church is worth it. Whether or not we are actually getting a return on our investment for what we've put into the black church, and whether or not the structures of the church are serving the black community, communities writ large, the way that they should. One, what do you think about the conversation? And two, what case do you make for the importance of the black church today?
Whew. Great question. I'm going to make a parallel between the black church and black parents raising kids in poverty, and specifically so it can be relevant to my life. I grew up with not a lot discipline, getting whooped, can't ask questions, whereas I don't raise my kids that way, right? That same way. I both can appreciate and understand what my parents did, tried to do with their knowledge, and also recognize they got it wrong in XYZ way, right? But I also understand that they didn't necessarily mean harm, and they didn't know no better. David So put me onto this idea that poor parents, not just black parents, poor parents often ruled with fear because they didn't have time to discipline any other way. I can't explain to you why you can't do X, Y, and Z. Don't touch it, because I got to go to work. I can't be with you. You're going to have to walk home from school, get that key in that house, don't answer the door, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Shut up. Don't question me because I said so, because I got to go to work. Not because I don't love you, not because literally don't have the time to discipline you any different way. And I think the church has done a lot of harm, in some ways irreputable harm, irrefutable harm, whichever word was correct there. And I think the way our parents did a lot of harm, it doesn't mean they were all harmed, though. And it doesn't mean and at the same time, just because you didn't mean to do something, it doesn't, remove you from the harm you caused, right? I get in trouble all the time for talking about the black church was homophobic, right? Black Christians hate when I say that, but it is true. I was taught to be homophobic sitting in church 5 times a week. That was what was taught to me. I'm so sorry. It was taught to me. I had to unlearn that because it's important to me that I am welcoming and inclusive of all black people. That includes queer black people. It includes trans black people. If you black people, you black with us, it is my goal that you can come sit with us. I was not taught that. And it was reinforced from my family. I was taught nobody's born gay. Even if you are, you're born into sin, you can get born again. Okay? If you are gay, you were molested. That's not the only way people can be gay. I had to learn that later in life. I was not taught that. And I realized as an adult, and it wasn't even the church that changed me. It wasn't my parents. It was the birth of my son was the first time I had a thought that was like, when I held my son, who is 19, it was the first time I had a contrary thought to something that had been taught to me. I was holding my son and I was like, yeah, I don't really care if this boy is gay or straight. This is my son. I'm not gonna, because at that time I started hearing people like, my parents they kicked me out for being gay. Yeah. Start to hear these things, right? On TV, movie, internet. I'm like, it's crazy. And when I was holding him, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. That won't be my thing. But I ain't say nothing at that time because I was like, I don't want to go against my pastor. I don't want to upset my family members and stuff. But it's like, so funny to me. In my actual family, there are gay people in my family just be like, we don't really talk about that, auntie. What you mean?
Yeah.
She been gay since the 70s.
You said You said nobody is born gay.
Now, before he gets into his breakdown of everything, because shout out to Nick Jones. The question was asked about, do you believe the black church has contributed to the community in reference to the accountability of it? Because again, they are critical of the church. So what do you think is like some of the things the church can work on that could benefit the people, basically? KevOnStage used the parallel of, again, like raising children, to answer that question in reference to raising children in a household that is poverty stricken. Because the parent has to work, the parent can't parent. The parent can't be there. And if the child asking you questions while you trying to still figure shit out, I gotta get this together. I gotta make sure they dressed. I gotta make sure this is cooked. I gotta make sure that bill is paid. And then, oh my God, I forgot about this. And Sandra got this going on. And you have a child asking you questions, mom, dad, blah, blah, blah. You gonna be like, shut up. You may not be intending to do that, but because you are stressed the fuck out, you tell them to shut up and just do as I say and what I say. And the kids be looking at what y'all do, despite what y'all say. So it's like, again, when you're in organized religion, one thing that you are taught that is forbidden is that you don't ask questions. That's wrong. Don't you dare ask questions. Don't you dare challenge the pastor. Don't you dare challenge the word of God. Don't you dare challenge. Just don't you dare. We start asking questions, hoes be turning into like old girl from Get Out. No, please, no. Just breaking the fuck down. But what he is saying is that he started to question things. And the gag is a lot of Christians be questioning a lot of ish. Y'all just not brave enough to say it. Which is why, to KevOnStage point, who grew up in this, keywords, grew up in this, unlike Nick Jones, girl, he would have pastors and men of the faith of the cloth pulling him aside in private to tell him that they agree with his perspective when it comes down to gay people, because that's the humanistic thing to do. But because this is a capitalistic system and it's really money over everything, that's God's attitude, no shade, they don't want to lose their flock, so they compromise as if though God not watching. So instead of him being a fake ass nigga, a fake ass BR, he said that I'm going to challenge that. And the way that I challenge that is that I put myself in queer people's environments or allow queer people to be around me and ask questions. And KevOnStage did that. Like, if you type in KevOnStage LGBT, I was kind of gagged. Maybe I'm going to have to do a part 2. Because if Nick Jones do a part 2 in reference to KevOnStage, what he said with Cam Newton, we will come back with a part 2. But he has videos where he's sitting down with gay people, trans people, like asking them questions. The individuals who are saying, well, y'all so uncomfortable because y'all claim y'all don't know. Okay, well, since everybody's scared to step over the line, girl, let me be the brave one and step over the line and talk to the people. That's why I fuck with people who are Christians like KevOnStage, like Lexi Allen, like Leandra Johnson, who realize that, damn it, I don't give a fuck what these songs say, what these pastors say. We are all human beings. And y'all can't sit up here and judge people if you're saying that the only person that can do it is Jesus. What the fuck do you expect these people to do? And the system, literally, that system literally wants you to give them your all. Because there's a voice that cries out in the silence, looking for a heart that will love him, longing for a child that will give them their all, give it all. He wants it all. Literally. And the gag is, if people really learned how to love themselves, they'll realize, again, they're the missing piece to the connection to God. Of course you'll never be able to tap into Christ consciousness if you're too busy investing in other things that are man-made. When you tap into your own spirit, that's not man-made, baby. That's spirit-made. Projecting in such a way that we're having this 3D, soon-to-be 5D ass experience, which is why all these conversations are coming up. And I'm grateful for everybody having a microphone, because even though people be saying dumb shit, well, I'm glad that y'all saying something, because people like me who like information, people like me who like long-form content and do long-form content, I enjoy shit like this. Sometimes I need to motherfucking stop and chill the fuck out because I think all the time. But I'm also learning how to use that in a way that benefits not just myself, but community, because there's so much shit. The fact that that video, and I think Harold asked the question about how long ago that video was anywhere from 13 to 15 years ago that KevOnStage and his friend made that video. And here we are, 13 to 15 years later, and still having the same conversations. The only group that is evolving in their thought when it comes down to these conversations are queer people. It's the religious people who are stuck in the past. It's the religious people longing for the days of yesteryears. And what they don't understand is that every time civilization actually evolves, it's because everybody pays attention and plays into the gray area so that we can actually get shit done. And again, KevOnStage is showing to be consistent because he shared the story about his son that we just heard 15 years ago, still being brought up. So again, there's objectivity there, consistency there, continuity there. And I want y'all to hear what Nick Jones says, because there's a part where it kind of gagged me to where it was like he was kind of giving him his roses and his flowers. And I'm like, let's explore that. Because I know you're going to go to the other stuff because you got to appease your audience. You got to make your money and you got to make sure you do what you got to do. I understand. But there was a part of you that was objective, that broken clock, right twice a day. It was that moment where I'm like, we can go if we go down this road, we will be cool. There could be some objectivity there where both sides can be heard and validated. Because when we're supposed to be out here challenging people, we're supposed to be challenging people like iron sharpening iron to benefit each other. Nick Jones has been conditioned to go out and to win souls. That's the most important thing. And he is going to stand firm on that. Which is why he is going to completely disregard everything that KevOnStage says or take into consideration to ponder and think. Because the way that Nick Jones thinks, when he talks about queer people, do y'all think this way? Nick Jones, pimping. The place that you're coming from as far as that projection and queerphobia and no shade, low-key bigoted behavior, I was once there. I grew up in it. Plenty of other queer people grew up in it, and we've all said the same thing. Everybody can't be lying. But let's take a listen again. Let's continue to listen, shall I say, with Nick Jones giving us his perspective and allegedly the right side of history, the right side of the Bible, the right side of Christianity, the right side of faith, the right side of God. Because again, KevOnStage is losing his way because that fame and notoriety and popularity and that worldly shit is staining his soul. So we need somebody to call him in. Let's see how this goes.
Just like nobody was born a murderer, it's a choice, a made-up mindset. Statistics say most were taken advantage of. Yeah, because he had mentioned the molestation piece of it. From my statistical analysis, most individuals in that lifestyle, they were abused in some way, shape, or form. Not all of them, but most of them were abused in some way, shape, or form. I mean, just look at the world that we live in. There's so much so much push in that direction. There's so much push in the direction of just over sexualizing everything. And I guess I didn't realize how long we've been over sexualized. And it wasn't even until like recently I started going back and watching some of the old shows that I used to watch like as a kid. And it's like, dog, majority of those shows, for example, like SpongeBob, I think we were talking about SpongeBob last stream. You go back and watch that show now, it's like so overly sexual. All of these popular PG movies, like that are supposed to be like somewhat safe for children to watch, you watch these PG movies, they're really pushing the boundaries. They're really pushing the limits of sexuality on our children. So it's not a surprise that we see this increase in interest in, you know, individuals wanting to be gay. It's not a surprise because it's been an agenda to push this increase to get individuals to be more interested in it. You know what I'm saying? So from his perspective and from what he's saying, I've never really had the thought cross my mind of like one of my children being gay, and I have 4 children. That thought never crossed my mind. It just never crossed my mind. It's not something that I really think about. But from his perspective, you know, there's a very safe form of Christianity that the world loves. There's a very safe there's a safeness that the world loves. And if you are able to play into that safeness, and if you are able to help people mold Christianity into whatever they want it to be, then you will be propped up as a voice of, you know, of reason. You'll be propped up as a voice that understands, as a voice that gets it. Especially from his perspective. I mean, KevOnStage, I think it's dope what he does in terms of like his grind and his commitment and his work ethic, and just everything that he's built is incredible. Like from a media standpoint, from a business standpoint, everything that he's built, I think it's incredible. Just the grind and the hustle. Like you have to respect that, or at least I respect that. But you know, listening to KevOnStage on stage talk, especially when you go back to the Kirk Franklin interview when he sat down with Den of Kings, Kirk Franklin, you could tell there was obviously some negative experiences that he's had in the church. You could tell that he grew up in church, and it definitely shaped who he is today, for better or for worse. Now, I'm a little bit different. I didn't really go to church like growing up. We went to church a couple times, but we were like the Easter, like Christmas type of individuals. We weren't really in church on a daily basis. It sounds like based on his childhood, they were in church multiple times per week. And that really had an effect on him, right? So I get it. I understand why he's saying what he's saying, but he's incorrect. Like, it is a decision. It's a choice that is being made. Individuals are choosing their flesh. They're choosing to deny the truth that comes from God, which is literally laid out for us in Genesis chapter 1. It's literally laid out. The truth, well, not chapter 1, but in Genesis it's laid out for us, right? So you have Christians who want to deny basic truths. And unfortunately, in the world that we live in, if you have a self-proclaimed Christian who denies the basic truths, those individuals will be propped up on a mainstream level because the world is opposed to God. The world is opposed to Christianity, right? They want it to be twisted. They want it to be perverted. They want it to be distorted. And if you have an individual that's willing to stand on, you know, stage or stand on a podcast and actively take shots at Christianity and actively deny the truth, then, you know, those individuals are going to be rewarded from a mainstream standpoint. Those people are going to be rewarded. Now, I will agree with him on this. I feel like we do villainize.
Before he gets to that broken clock twice a day, he said a lot. Don't worry, Hero. I'm gonna get to your comment in a second. I'm pausing for dramatic effect. Shout out to the Sims. The background music you're hearing now. Nick Jones. KevOnStage, and you stated it in what you were saying. KevOnStage grew up in this and is speaking about what he has actively seen and has found other people in the faith who have actively seen these things happen because they're a part of the congregation, which means that when they gossip, word gets around, there is public rebukes, there are public critiques that are happening. There are parents that are dragging their children to church for all of these queer and gay things. There are people being outed because of these queer and gay things. This is a reality, and a reality that y'all don't want to deal with because y'all know it's fucked up. Now, there was something that you said earlier that Harold spoke on, which I do agree. And before we get to that, I'm going to read Parker's comment. One of his children will turn out gay, then only then he'll change his perspective on homosexuality. Hey, I don't know what's going to happen. Whether he understands or not, I really don't care. I'm just using this as a educational or edutainment perspective, because Nick Jones don't mean nothing to me in reference to his perspective. It's not anything new. It's not anything refreshing. It's the same ish that we've heard plenty of times. He's just the new champion for it. So, hey. But to Harold's point, that is grossly false. I was not abused at any point in my life. So when he did say that, the point of me stopped and I said, hold on. Bubz. Bubz said, yes. I said, bitch, let's look this shit up. Let's do some basic shit. And the reason why I said basic is because that's a level a lot of people are on. So I'm starting on their level. Okay, then it's up to them to go down the rabbit hole. But I ended up asking the question of, you go ahead and move myself. Okay. Move the comment. What was the statistics? Excuse me. What were the stats of people who were sexually abused or actually abused being queer? Okay, because he brought it up, and I wanted to again check. And it says here, statistically, queer LGBTQ+ individuals report significantly higher rates of childhood sexual abuse, CSA, and molestation than their heterosexual counterparts. Various studies indicate that approximately 20% to over 30% of queer individuals have experienced childhood sexual abuse or molestation. Some studies have shown even higher disparities depending on the specific demographic and methodology. So it doesn't just use it as a talking point to get gay people to come back to Christ, because how could they know they've been abused? Even though Harold and myself and CTV and others have shared that that has not been our experience. So again, y'all got to find out the other reasons that quote unquote made us gay, because the father not being in the home or not being around enough is a farce for some of us. Being actually abused and molested, that was not some of our experiences. But anyway, continuing with this breakdown. Now, when it comes down to gay and bisexual men, studies have found that roughly 20 to 46% of gay and bisexual men have a history of childhood sexual abuse or molestation. Lesbian queer women. Research indicates that roughly 22% of lesbian women reported childhood sexual molestation. Trans youth. Nearly 50% of transgender and gender diverse young people report having experienced sexual abuse. So, let's continue with it. I'm sorry, I thought we were at the end of it. It says key findings on childhood sexual abuse and LGBTQ+ identity. Okay. Disproportionate exposure. LGBTQ+ adults are more likely to report having experienced at least one adverse childhood experience, ACE, with sexual abuse being one of the largest disparities between LGBTQ and heterosexual adults. The severity of abuse. A study in Oregon found that while 20% of the gay bisexual men reported childhood sexual abuse, 80% of them characterized the abuse as severe. Victimization age. LGBTQ+ youth are often targeted by abusers at a young age. almost 1/3 of lesbian, bisexual female victims and 1/6 of gay male victims reported their first contact sexual violence at age 10 or younger. That's very alarming. Very alarming. Forced sexual activity. Data from 2024 shows that nearly 2 in 5, 39%, LGBTQ plus young people ages 13 to 24 reported being forced to engage in sexual activity. Okay? The high prevalence of these experiences is often linked to the increased risk of unaliving, depression, and long-term mental health challenges in the LGBTQ plus community. So when you read that and you don't do further research on it, you would sit there and believe that Nick Jones may, said something right, because he said, to my statistics, I found that people who have been molested, a lot of them are queer, and what I did is study to show thyself approved. But again, this is a comma, not a period, okay? Because again, we actually try to understand as much as we can objectively. Will it be perfect? No. But it's going to be a lot better than what the hell they serve the fuck out here. No shade. So then I asked the question of, does that objectively play a role in why they're queer? In reference to, does sexual abuse and molestation, does that objectively, like if it happens to you, that's the route it's going to take you down, because that's what they state. If you, just like Take Heed to the Message said years ago, if my child came to me and told me that I was gay, told me that they were gay, the first thing that I would ask them is, who did this to you? Who touched you? Who abused you? So let's continue with that. Does that objectively play a role in why they're queer? The short answer is that major scientific and mental health organizations such as the American Psychological Association, APA, and the American Psychiatric Association state there is no scientific evidence that childhood sexual abuse or molestation causes a person to become queer. We're going to learn the difference between that, because there's a lot of conflating. Heterosexual people and queer people are getting abused. Regardless of where you are on the spectrum, y'all need to be worried about the abuse in general. But anyway, indeed, research suggests that the high statistical link between these two factors is complex and often works in the opposite direction than many assume. Now, starting off, number one, targeting of different children. The most common scientific explanation for the higher rates of abuse is that queer or gender nonconforming children are often targeted because they are seen as vulnerable or different by abusers, meaning that, oh, people ain't gonna worry about you. You're the dredge of society. You're the cancer of society. So we can fuck around with you and mess with you. Look at a lot of people who ended up having to reside to doing X work or escorting for them to be able to make ends meet, and turn around and be denigrated by the same fucking people who abused them, but now they paying for it. Plenty of stories of these experiences happening to these people. But let's continue. Abusers often seek out children who lack strong social support or who are already marginalized. So that already checks black children. That already checks queer children. So they're already at a disadvantage. Yet the community don't give a fuck. Children who exhibit gender nonconforming behaviors, example, a boy who is more feminine, are statistically at a much higher risk of being singled out for abuse by peers or adults. I was an individual who was a gay boy who was feminine, and baby, I was a target. Both violently and no shade, especially now that I realize as an adult, was on some homoerotic-ish. Now, in this view, the queerness or early signs of it exist before the abuse. Again, in this view, the queerness or early signs of it exist before the abuse, not after, before the abuse, and is part of what makes the child a target. Secondly, biological basis. Current scientific consensus is that sexual orientation and gender identity are likely determined by a complex mix of genetic, hormonal, and prenatal factors. Most queer people report being aware of their attractions starting in middle childhood or early adolescence, often without any prior sexual experiences. There is no substantial evidence that postnatal social environments, such as parenting styles or trauma, determines a person's core sexual orientation. Thirdly, bi-directional research. Now, while some older and more controversial studies have suggested a potential causal link, more rigorous modern research has found these associations to be casually ambiguous. Now, some researchers argue that because queer identities are stigmatized, survivors of abuse who are queer may be more likely to report their abuse than heterosexual survivors. Other studies using instrumental variable models have suggested that while abuse and orientation are linked, the relationship may be bidirectional, meaning it's hard to separate whether the orientation led to the risk of abuse, or vice versa. Now, the summary of all that is that the consensus among leading health organizations is that being queer is a natural variation of human sexuality and is not the result of trauma, abuse, or a broken upbringing. And I'm mad that I could not get the rest of that. Okay? So then I furthered the conversation. I said, okay, then, well, statistically speaking, how many people who have been abused by the same gender, how many of them turned out to be same-sex attracted? Right? So I asked, what happened? And it says, yes, research indicates that the majority of people who experience childhood sexual abuse by someone of the same sex identify as heterosexual as adults, meaning that even though these people have been abused by the same gender, they are still attracted to the opposite sex. Because according to them, if you have been actually abused by the same gender, you are automatically going to be queer, because to them, that is the number one way that somebody becomes gay. Now, again, scientific consensus and clinical research provide the following insights regarding the impact of same-sex abuse on sexual orientation. Now, orientation typically remains stable. Now, most survivors are straight. Data suggests that the majority of men who were actually abused by other men in childhood grow up to identify as heterosexual. Again, abuse does not cause orientation. Organizations like the American Psychological Association, APA, state that sexual orientation is not caused by childhood trauma or family dysfunction. Okay, then we have the biological roots. Most modern research views sexual orientation as being biologically determined before or shortly after birth, meaning external events, even traumatic ones, do not fundamentally change a person's core orientation. Now, there is something known as the role of confusion and gaslighting. Okay, now while abuse doesn't change orientation, it often creates significant identity confusion, particularly for heterosexual men abused by other males. Now, before you talk about, see, I told you it's something, let's further explain this. You have things like internalized myth that play into the role of confusion and gaslighting, okay? Because of societal stereotypes that only gay people are actually assaulted, meaning that only weak, sissified, punk ass men are the ones that get actually abused by other men or actually assaulted. Okay, only gay people are actually assaulted. Straight survivors may mistakenly believe that they must be gay because they were a victim of same-sex violence. You're talking about people of the world perverting and twisting shit. That's a perverted way to think of something. That if you got abused by another man, that automatically makes you gay. And that's not even determined about if you enjoyed it, which if you got abused, I don't think people enjoy being abused. But it's what society is going to think and then enforce after they find out the information, if these men are brave enough to talk about how they were being taken advantage of. As if though men have not been dominating other men for the longest time, even in that way. Perpetrator manipulation. Abusers often use gaslighting, such as telling a victim that they liked it or that the event proves that they're gay, to maintain control and prevent the victim from reporting. And then you have trauma response. Some survivors may experience sexual disorientation, where they feel disconnected from their true desires due to the trauma, but this is a psychological impact of the abuse rather than a change in their natural orientation. Now, the summary of that impact reads, while abuse can profoundly affect how a person views intimacy and trust and sex, it does not rewrite their underlying sexual identity. Support services like Survivors UK and RAIN emphasize that a survivor's orientation, whether they are straight, gay, bisexual, remains their own and is not defined by the actions of an abuser. So what I'm going to need going forward is for individuals like Nick Jones, that when he starts talking about stats and stuff like that, I'm going to need you to pull some shit up and put it on the fucking screen. Because the only stats that you're talking about is from the Bible. That's the only thing you pull up is from the Bible. And if we only know the Bible, we would agree. But for some of us who have looked outside and learned things outside the Bible, baby, you're not telling us anything new. You're over here talking to us as if though we don't understand when we lived the experience that you're now living. Again, the gays could never, ever be on the same level of Christianity. And none of us want to. We just want to live our motherfucking life. And if you got to force people to believe what you believe, then you don't believe in it. And if you don't believe in it, that's your problem, not mine. Like, move the fuck around, please. Anyway, let's continue.
And we do pick on gay people a little too much. From like a sin standpoint, we do be picking on gay people a little too much. We do. I think we overly focused on it. And I think that, the gay people, the LGBT community,
Broken Clock,
I think they can understand and they recognize that we are way overly focused on it. And I think we have to recognize that, we've all fallen short of the glory of God.
Now, before we get into that part where when they start including everybody, all of a sudden God's grace and mercy shows up. But yes, thank you, Nick Jones. Again, that broken clock, right? Twice a day, girl. This is the first time, girl. Hopefully there's a second one, girl. But thank you for speaking that truth. Yes, y'all focus on queer people a lot and then get mad at queer people like me who just turn around and give y'all the same energy. I mean, it's mutual here. We've been known this. KevOnStage literally talked about it. And you sat up here and said that even though he had his experience, he's still wrong. But at the same time, I mean, we do be picking on gay people. So, yeah, do a video about why we need to stop picking on gay people or how we need to love gay people. I need to hear that. That's how you win people's souls. I mean, win souls. Or win people's souls for this system. That's how you work with it. That's how you bring people in that way. Y'all can't. Y'all can't. Even when y'all try to perform, y'all can't. That's something y'all got to work on within yourselves. That ain't got shit to do with us. That's y'all inner turmoil, not us. So yes, it would be amazing for Nick Jones and Harley Initiated Podcast and We Need to Talk Podcast and Rashad Vermay and Jackie Hill Perry. I would love for them to create videos telling the church or critiquing the church saying, hey, if we're going to include more people, if we're going to win more souls, we're going to have to change up our approach. But that ain't going to work because then y'all going to have to start looking like KevOnStage. And that's a little too much for y'all. Especially you niggas. Anyway, continue, Nick Jones.
We all need grace. We all need forgiveness. We all need Jesus. We all need the blood. At the end of the day, we all need it. Now, does that mean that we can sit here and justify our sinful lifestyle because we need grace? Absolutely not. Does that mean that we can sit here and abuse the grace that God freely gives to us? Absolutely not. But at the same time, we do have to sit down and recognize that we all need grace. We all need God. But like I said, there are some Christians who just completely compromise when it comes to this conversation of sexuality. And that's just the truth. It is what it is. But let's continue. Let's see what else he says.
Yeah. What do you mean? This is our family member, like in my family, trans family members. We just I don't see this.
The grotesque truth.
Yes. We just looking at it and we just there's no book there. I just put it down. Yeah. What you mean? So for me, I was just I'm sorry, I'm not going. And it's okay if you disagree with me. You can't whoop me. And the other thing, I remember I was getting taken to task by the gay community in the pandemic. And I was listening because I was getting obliterated on Twitter.
Because you said something? Or?
I was doing this thing called Theological Thursdays. During the pandemic, we was all creating. And I went very curious.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
This person. I used to do a show called Ask A, and I had done Ask a Black Guy, Ask a Trans Person, all kind of stuff. And because I'm curious and I love to have a conversation, love to understand. And I had Jackie Hill Perry on my podcast trying to understand. She was like, I was a former lesbian, gave my life to God.
That's a good guess to have.
Which was the way you could be gay in the church. You could have been gay and God could have taken the gay away. We get you on that.
Yeah.
But you can't be gay.
Right.
Been, yes. Be, no.
Right.
You cannot be. That's how we was taught. I'm but some people be gay. And I'm going to say one thing too, and I know I'm all over the place, but it's going to make sense.
No, we with you.
Went to a church. And I hate it because it's so stereotypical, but it is true. Our choir director was gay. Was amazing songwriter, amazing arranger, amazing choir director. He wasn't flamboyantly gay in the sense of how movies make people, but he was very obviously gay. Our church was don't talk about that, but do be a part of the choir.
Do the music, yeah.
For me, it was incongruent to me that we can use your gifts, but deny your humanity. He gay, but he writing them songs, and them songs are moving people, right? I mean, we in here crying to his songs, his arrangement. God is using him.
Yeah.
You can't make me believe I didn't feel what I feel. Tone has a song called Make Me Over. I'm talking about God himself spoke through Tone to me about my sins. When I listened to it, when I found out that Tone was gay, he did an interview about it.
I mean, you said all sins are equal. However, my issue is if I sin, I know I've sinned, and I try to pray to get better. Many people in the gay and LGBT community feel they do no wrong and are forgiven regardless and choose to live in it daily. I mean, okay. Let's go here for a second. For what it's worth, 1 Corinthians 6:18. That's very bright. First, let's start here. 1 Corinthians 6:12. All things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be dominated by anything. Food is meant for the stomach and the stomach for food, and God will destroy both one and the other. The body is not meant for sexual immorality, but for the Lord, and the Lord for the body. And God raised the Lord and will also raise us up by his power. Ooh. And God raised the Lord and will also raise us up by his power. Do you not know that your bodies are members of Christ? This is it right here. This is the conversation right here that we don't want to have. Do you not know that your bodies are members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them members of a prostitute? Never. Or do you not know that he who is joined to a prostitute becomes one body with her? For it is written, the two will become one flesh. But he who is joined to the Lord becomes one spirit with him. Verse 18, flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. I'm just going to say that one more time. And I understand what you're trying to say, Sean, and I agree with you. But I'm just speaking on this passage specifically. It says, every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexual immoral person sins against his own body. So sexual immorality is the only sin that a person commits against his own body. Every other sin is outside the body. That's what my Bible says in 1 Corinthians 6, verse 18, ESV. That's what my Bible says. Or do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own. You were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. That goes for all of us. Because here's the thing. You could say, oh, you know, I drink or I smoke, right? And then a person can say, well, I'm just a drinker or I'm just a smoker, right? And people say that, like, yeah, I'm a drinker, I'm a smoker, that's just who I am, right? Okay, but why are you so willing to adopt that identity of you being a drinker, of you being a smoker? Why are you so willing to adopt that identity, right? It doesn't make any sense. From a Christian standpoint, it's a battle, it's a war, it's a constant struggle against our flesh. You can't sit here and say, oh, I'm gonna struggle against my flesh. I'm going to deny myself in this area. I'm going to deny myself in this area. But then when it comes to this area, I don't have any more control. I have to allow my body to do whatever my body wants to do. Whatever my flesh wants, I just have to give into it. I have to feed it. Well, that's not the mark of a true Christian. The mark of a true Christian is your ability to war against the flesh, to battle against these things. Not to say that you're going to be perfect, not to say that you're going to do everything right, that you're never going to sin. Because what did Jesus say? Jesus said, if you even look at a woman with lust, you have committed adultery with her in your heart, right? So there's so many things that we are doing that we're not even aware because our sin runs so deep, right? But thankfully, we have grace. Thankfully, God has given us grace. Thankfully, we are covered by the blood of Jesus. But let's not take that grace for granted. Let's not take the eternal sacrifice that God made on the cross for granted. Let's not take that for granted. Let's not willingly take on identities of sin because we are unwilling to deny ourselves in those areas. Because as the Bible says, a person commits, that every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. That's why I think it's so interesting, and that's why I think it's so enticing. And sexual immorality, like, bro, we're not just talking about being gay. We're not talking about just that. That is a part of it, but we're also talking about, which a lot of Christians in church struggle with, right? A lot of Christians are watching during the week, and then on Sunday they're going to church. No mention of it. It's not on their heart. They're not praying for deliverance. They're not praying for help, right? So you are in sexual immorality. So you are just as blind as that person who you're accusing of being blind as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think we just have to be very careful not to adopt these identities of sin as our own when we have been given a new identity. What does the Bible say? You are not your own. Verse 20, you are not your own. You were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. That's the whole point. Our bodies should be used to bring glory to God. Our relationships should be used to bring glory to God. What did the Bible say? What did God say? That a man and a woman should come together and be one flesh, right? And be fruitful and multiply. We have a clear example. We have a clear model of what type of relationship glorifies God. So why are we trying to recreate what God has already set in place that glorifies him from a relationship standpoint? We know what type of relationship glorifies God. So why are we trying to recreate that?
Now, I know he thought he cooked. If I was a person who just believed in the Bible only, if I was a person who was in an organized religion, that would have been very captivating because it sounds like he knows what he's talking about. But yet, the last live we did, where you talked about, well, if you get into this whole lustful situation with someone, then your grace would be to, okay, well, let's get married then, because at least if we're going to burn in passion, let's burn in passion for God. So heterosexual people have a way out. And again, if the purpose is to be fruitful and multiply, and you can't have premarital sexual relations, and you wonder why the pornography rate is high, because they can't do nothing with it. And at the end of the day, as much as you talk about the flesh, you will involuntarily start having wet dreams because your body got to let it out. It's a part of life. It's a part of bodily functions. And I'm so sorry that this organized religion has literally taught you to put chains over every aspect of yourself. So if I lust in my head, I've done so in my heart. And if a man think of so he is, then at the end of the day, there is no room for living. This low-key sounds like some slave shit. So God created all things but want to deny your unique existence. God created all things and experiencing itself, but yet it doesn't want to experience the uniqueness of itself. And again, for the gay people, for the queer people who believe in this, for those who are going down the ex-gay path, just like they're giving you all the information, if you're watching this live, I want you to understand some of the motherfucking terms and conditions and motherfucking side effects that your ass may experience as well. And I'd rather give you the other side of the game just so you understand the totality of it and know what you're getting yourself into. I'll use an analogy of my own life. The church that I used to go to. What's going on, Queens, Stevie? Had created this song that they would sing, a custom song. I wrote this on the way in. Custom ass song to sing at the end of service when they were doing when they were opening up the doors of the church, basically an invitation to give your life to Christ. And they made this jazzy little song that was very pep in your step and stuff, and it's just like, oh my God, this sounds so good, whoopty whoopty, what we getting or whatever. And it would attract people into organized religion, but once they got in it, they saw what really happened. They saw the judgment, they saw the jadedness, the bitterness, the projection onto other people. And it literally drove people away from organized religion. Literally drove them away. And again, being in that is different than just initially getting into it, because everybody's so nice and so calm and so cool to bring you in. But once you're in it, it's when it really gets fucked up. And yes, there has been objective harm that the church has done to people. And when these survivors of these experiences tell their truth, now they're labeled as church hurt people and that they have to deal with forgiveness and it's all on them. Or we can be accountable about the motherfucking harm that these people have done. And when you brought up that scripture, I really believe that scripture was like about, the example given was like a dietary law. So basically a lot of you motherfuckers ain't got no control over your stomachs. There is a whole panel that could use those scriptures and verses and book and chapters. No shade. But like I said in the other video that you did, there was a gay Christian, a person who knew that they were gay, they knew they were same-sex attracted, but were making the choice, just like ex-gays do, doing the exact same thing. As far as I'm making the choice to be abstinent, I'm making the choice to instead of letting my body fall into sin and to lust and to be used in an immoral way, I'm going to choose to save my energy and keep it to myself and just use it for God's good. Literally dedicating their life to Christ. Nick Jones, are you going to dedicate your life to Christ in that way? Do you love God more than your wife? If God called you today to live a life of singleness, a romantically solitary life, are you going to do that, pimpin'? Let's see how much of y'all are really for God if God asks you to do that. A lot of y'all going to be like, Lord, is this the Lord talking to me? Because I don't think God would tell me this. I don't think God would ask me this. This sounds different than God that been affirming me and my wife and procreate. Now you want me to stop and like give my life completely to you? But you expect queer people to do you expect queer people to do that. That's very funny. It's very funny. But even when that queer person, again, that gay person, decided to live a life of abstinence, you said that in order for him to be a true Christian, a mark, a barometer of him being a true Christian or a fully transformed Christian, is that he has to contribute to the population growth. So for all the ex-gay people who are gagging at organized religion, still judging you, even though they be using y'all as shields and y'all just now realizing that, y'all be giving them critiques on how to treat gay people, and they don't give a fuck about that. They don't want that. Look at Amir Odom. Whenever he is critiquing the fuck out of the queer community in a derogatory way, non-transformative ass way, that just literally gives ammunitions to bigots to do what they do. Oh, the views be high. Hundreds of thousands of views, sometimes millions of views. But when he starts holding them accountable or having little gray moments, gray area conversations, or again, that broken clock being right more than twice, it'd be 3 times, 4 times, oh, the views be low. He recently just put out a video reacting to insane liberal TikTokers. And that's almost close to 100 views, I'm pretty sure. But a video he did 2 weeks ago is still sitting at 50, 51K views. You can't make this shit up. Queen Stevie said, I was just talking with Deshaun yesterday about this. This is exactly why a lot of people are leaving the church. You're so quick to nail someone to a cross and to quote Exodus and all these other Bible verses that are anti-queer. But what about gluttony, greed? And we're seeing that currently right now under this regime. And we're seeing a bunch of them cheat on their wives with corn stars like the orange piglet. I mean, again, if Nick Jones and the rest of the Christian conservative community really wanted to be all the way accountable, really wanted to show everybody what objectivity looks like, they would be holding him accountable. They would be like, okay, President Trump, you doing some shit that's not good, bro. This is anti-Bible. This is anti-Christ. But if they did, just like KevOnStage said, when them pastors be coming to him in private, pulling him to the side in private to say, pimpin', I agree with you about that gay stuff, but I can't say it because if I do, I will lose my flock. And if I lose my flock, I will lose the money to pay for my wife's rock. And if I don't get my wife's rock, she's not going to be sucking on my... So I need to make sure the money is coming in. And Nick Jones is going to do the same thing. He is profiting off of this. He is making money, making bank off of this. This is his bread and butter. And no shade. In this time, I understand why niggas got to do what they got to do. But I want you to understand that when you say things like this, you are objectively playing into the harm of queer people. Because I've watched some of your commentary about queerness, and I've never seen or heard you say anything transformative at all to be like, wow, that's interesting. Like, I didn't even see it that way. No. It is a very cookie cutter, AI technology ass, copy and paste ass ish that you do for your supporters to believe that they're doing the right thing. and then teach them to demonize people like KevOnStage, who actually is doing the one thing a lot of you Christians are afraid to do, which is to commune with these people. I mean, that's what Christ did, right? So why are you not inviting them over to your home to have conversations? Why are you not inviting them to events and loving on them? Instead of throwing the book at them, why are you not living? Why are you not being the living word? Why are you not being the living word? And like KevOnStage said, by my works, by the way that I show up, people just be like, man, there's a light inside of you. It's just like some energy inside of you. Like, how did you tap into that? Then you can go ahead and tell them, well, hey, I don't know what's going to work for you, but I'm going to tell you what worked for me. You know, God really changed my life. Then you can share your testimony. And then if it pricks their heart and they say, well, damn, that sounds real dope. Do you think he'll do it for me? Boom. Then that is an acknowledgement. Now that's a consensual thing. They came to you asking you about Christ. That's the invitation. When they come to you, when they're willing. A lot of y'all be trying to talk to motherfuckers who ain't willing. Projecting your shit onto individuals who aren't willing. Y'all doing the bare minimum. And maybe if y'all did the right thing, maybe Jesus will come back. Maybe y'all haven't cracked the code yet. Y'all trying to do some underlying bullshit, girl, by working with the Baphomet, the orange one, girl, to manifest World War III as if though it's going to bring Christ. No, it's going to bring the anti-one. Because that's the one that requires the crimson fluid sacrifice and soul harvesting. Not the Son of Man, who has all powers in his hand. What he need blood for. And shout out to Boss Man. I would like to hear Boss Man's perspective on Nick Jones stuff, because I'm not a Bible scholar. Because when you love yourself, you transcend the Bible, which means that, baby, there's more information out here than just this. This can probably be one of the starting points, but it's not the full thing. You start experiencing life. Again, you start living outside that book, God being expressed outside that book, God continuing outside the book. In unique ways and mysterious ways. Isn't that the way that it works? Mysteriously? But then y'all judge the mysteriousness. I don't know. Maybe because it hasn't worked for you yet. But that's why you congratulate people in the meantime. So you can have motherfuckers congratulate you when it's your time. But let's continue. What would you say, Nick Jones? What's going on?
Y'all got me worked up.
This song is very clearly about, could be interpreted, you know my other side, I can no longer hide. Hold on. You was telling us right then. So I don't discount everything the church is, but I also cannot not acknowledge the harm that was done. And I think you hold space for both of those. I did this.
Yeah. That's when you know that you've evolved. Yeah.
I said hold space and I did this.
Yeah, those are two.
And I think in most things are not inherently good or evil. The black church was great at so many things, but it got things wrong. Same way black parents were good at so many things, culture, respect, but they also got a lot of things wrong. What we taught was discipline was quite often abuse. Mm-hmm. Some people still believe that is the only way to discipline children. I don't feel that way. Same thing happened with my son about being gay. I remember I used to whip my kids when they were young. I remember one time my youngest son hit my oldest son. So I popped my youngest son and said, don't hit your brother. And in that moment, my brain was like,
wow, what the hell? Yeah.
Now make that make sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How you hit him to tell him not to hit him? Mm-hmm. That didn't, it just, that's literally the last time I hit my kids. Mm-hmm. And that was 24. It just didn't make sense to me. Yeah. And I also was, thank God I had the time to discipline.
Honestly, I think he's on the right track from a train of thought standpoint, but it's just being completely honest. Sometimes you just have to say the truth. The truth is the truth. Mm-hmm. Whether you like it or not.
True.
There's nowhere within the Bible that promotes same-sex relationships as being something that glorifies God or is healthy and beneficial to the individuals. There's nothing within the Bible that would indicate that would even remotely suggest that topic whatsoever.
Well, I mean, again, you have Christ talking about the eunuchs. Again, shout out to JT for that. You have the story about, I forgot what type of person it was, but it was him and his slave, his lover, that Christ healed. And on top of that, Christ never spoke out against it. The red words never spoke out against homosexuality. And if the only way to God is through Christ, isn't Christ's words and actions more important than the stories and words of other people? Like, if it's read in the book for even colorblind people to like catch on with, like, don't you think that's saying something? So where is it in the narrative of Christ openly rebuking gay people? And again, like, this is the part that they hate. We have to look at it in context, girl, at the time. What was the time period like? What was going on at that time? That's called information. I know some of y'all have the IQ of a river shrimp, and yes, my thoughts are all over the place, but that's because I think, and I think a lot. So, for those of us who think, we get a greater, broader, okay, as far as more of an awareness, understanding of these things. And everything that is equated to being gay in the Bible through Greek translation always had something to do with some form of harm, abuse, or domination, not about two consenting adults. And like I said, if organized religion was like, hey, gay people, you shouldn't have reckless sex, you shouldn't have just casual sex without any sort of safeguards. But if you decide that you want to get married and you want to be monogamous, then you can join our organization. And as long as you're willing to also have children, again, adopting children, because there's so many real life children that, you know, it's that beautiful conception stage. But then the manifestation of the children are here and the parents can't handle the weight of another human being. So again, queer people, y'all can go ahead and adopt the children, or hell, y'all have surrogates. There are other ways to bring life into this world, because ain't God good that God got your ass covered on the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 12th. Ain't it glad that he's a wraparound ass type of God to where he will cover all the bases? But because it's not heterosexual and it's not done in the way of male-female penetration and the enjoyment and the liking of that. It's the fact that if the children are around the gay people, then they're going to become gay. It's all the other things that y'all create in y'all's mind about queer people. That is the problem and the issue. And again, Nick Jones, I would love to know how you, sir, if we're talking about moral objectivity, how do you have the moral high ground to be able to call out KevOnStage? Where did your viewpoint and perspective come from? When were you inspired by the Holy Spirit to have that thought to be like, this scripture right here, this is what's being spoken to me? Like, when did you get to that point? Because again, you're a social media influencer. You're a commentator. You have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. You're supposed to be a teacher in some way. What lesson are you going through in your life that brings forth this awareness that you can validate? Because it's one thing to talk to believers. In order for your shit to be true, you got to be able to talk to non-believers and get them to see it. And if you are in a place where you say that you know what you're talking about deep down inside, you wouldn't see it as a challenge. You would see it as an opportunity to watch love work in real time. But we know that, unfortunately, ninjas like you, hardly initiated podcast, We Need to Talk podcast, Bffr Moe, no shade to her, even though she's the most honest one out of all of them girl, but Jackie Hill, period. Like, y'all are afraid to have real ass conversations with queer people in neutral settings. Because y'all can't sit up here and proclaim about all this power of change and transformation, but meanwhile, the statistics that manifest after these promises have been made to these people are damning and alarming. Y'all got to be able to make that make sense. Y'all gotta be able to make it make sense to where it's gay people that are now straight. I love pussy now. I loved, man, I thought y'all need to be like Andrew Caldwell. I had touched a woman on her sides. And she felt real good on the sides. She just know how to hit that spot. Like, y'all. They should be coming to church talking about, bro, I didn't know. What you mean, bro? I didn't know that coochie was that good, bro. It need to be a celebratory moment. My bro finally got some, bro. Yes. Come on. We gotta tell Pastor about this. He really not gay no more. He said he like pussy now. He came back and shook my hand and said, pussy so good, he gonna have to leave early to get some. And I'm gonna put gas in this car so he can vroom in the name of Jesus. See, y'all not saying none of that is happening. You have these men who are told to repress their sexuality. You niggas can't suppress. Nick Jones, can you suppress your sexuality? Could you not have sex with your wife for 6 months? You know how hard it is to be able to not have sex? No shade, I know, because my ass abstains from sex by choice. It's not because I can't get it, because girl, no shade to y'all point. I'm attracted to men. Men are very overly actualized. So if I wanted to get some, I could. It's not difficult at all. I've had opportunities where niggas literally presented it to me on a silver platter, girl. And even though in my head, girl, this damn voice talking about, nah, nigga, you sitting here talking about you want the universe to manifest shit and set up damn opportunities. And here this fine ass motherfucker, butt booty ass, butt bookie ass naked girl on your damn couch, bitch. Next to your goddamn king size sleigh bed, girl, where you be like an island in the middle of the ocean in that bitch, girl. Wrap the fuck up in your covers and stuff like that. Ready for you to go ahead and to take a dive in. This motherfucker is actually looking back at you saying, basically wonder why you ain't doing it. They probably think you a bottom and stuff because they presented the ass and you ain't taking it, girl. You know you a top. All these things be running in my head and I be wanting to take advantage of it. Even after the fact, I be sitting there like, damn, like, why didn't I do that? Yeah, and I be beating myself up. But at the same time, to Nick's point, if I'm going to be intimate with someone, no shade, even though my ass is gay and y'all don't want gay marriage, so girl, I gotta find an alternative. It's gonna be with someone that I can trust, that I can be vulnerable with. And I'm sorry, I can't trust and be vulnerable with you if I don't know you. See, there's so many different levels and depths that we can get into, but a lot of y'all don't want to. And I try my best to make this shit surface level, but sometimes I just hate surface level, shallow level, small talk ass shit. Like, can we get to the real issues? And the fact that there are people that like Nick Jones content because it makes it easier for them to not be a Christian, but to be a faux Christian, as opposed to doing a motherfucking work like their Lord and Savior to actually walk in its footsteps, is alarming. I got fat motherfuckers telling me that I'm going to hell. I have Jabba the Gunt, ass niggas, men, males, walking around in their 24th trimester, looking like the bloated vampire from Blade, looking like the Australian guy from Austin Powers. I forgot his name. Looking like Bruce and Lavelle Crawford love child. Looking like Isis Brown's brothers. Niggas who look like they can go to the counter at Popeyes and knock down 4 family meals. Girl, no problem. Over here built like the big old bitch from Deuce Bigelow, Mel Gigolo. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm hungry. Telling me. Niggas knees who going through enough struggle. Niggas who over here looking like Mr. Ed, the no-neck nigga. I think that's his name, Ed. from 90 Day Fiance looking like him. Looking like a boy, shaped like a boil, shaped like a keloid. Telling me that my short leprechaun, homosexual, dick in the booty, sweet booty, sugar in the tank, twinkle fart ass is going to hell. In which I replied, and that was the funny part too, on that platform. They was like, I want BubzDaGawd to tell me right now that gay is going to hell. And I said, okay. And this is what I encourage queer people to do. I encourage people who don't believe in organized religion. I'm not saying don't believe in God. Because there is God, because God does exist outside the book. But for the motherfuckers in the book, girl, who quote unquote live by the book, die by the book, I said, okay, I'll concede. According to organized religion in these scriptures, in these revised books, hundreds of times over, yes, according to y'all perspective, the homosexuals are destined to hell. We are abominations. But since we're also claiming to be smarter than fifth graders, right? We not the only ones going, boo. Like, we not the only ones going. Y'all going too. It's like the end of Tales from the Hood, one of my favorite horror movies. When the homeboys got the shit and they thought that the shit was in the coffins, and instead of the shit in the coffins, bitch, it was them in the coffins, and the walls disappeared, and the mortician took his clothes off, and I screamed, and then he turned into a demon and said, welcome to hell, motherfuckers. That's for all of us. There are over 600 and something sins in the Bible, or laws to be kept, or commandments that are spread throughout that book that I'm pretty sure every single person, including you listening right now, you bush baby ass niggas, I want y'all to know y'all in there too. And that there's nothing, according to organized religion's perspective, there's nothing that you can do about it. At this point, it's like, what the hell Danny DeVito and motherfucking Miss Trunchbull told Matilda. I'm big, you're small. I'm something else. I'm right, you're wrong. And there isn't anything that you can do about it. Until that bitch started using telekinesis and fucking hoes up in the Holy Spirit, girl. King Magnus had to come through. I am so glad that I am no longer a part of organized religion. I am so glad. I am so glad. Y'all don't even understand. When I left organized religion, my life was so much better. I did not participate in demonizing myself. I did not participate in harming myself. I did not participate in the supreme negative thoughts. I've spent the past few years unlearning things from walking from organized religion. I'm learning how to love aspects of myself that, because of organized religion, because of the fear, because of the conditioning, because of the responses, because of the consequences by society, I had to actively participate in downplaying myself. I actively had to participate in dimming my own light. I actively participated in trying to snuff out my own light. And there were plenty of times where I felt like this was it. But that's interesting. If I'm a homosexual who is not choosing to convert, who is choosing not to align, who is choosing not to agree, condone, concede, and submit, that death is the wages of sin. So when I got to the point where the atmosphere of death was around me, the ideas of, well, maybe I can wake up somewhere else than here started to cross my mind. That should have been the moment where I should have succeeded. But like they say in church, but God, right? Again, for those of you who know my backstory, and if you want to know more about my backstory in depth, check out Wonderfully Made. It's if for any of y'all that's my mods, if you can and feel like it, I understand. It's almost 4 a.m. If you can you please put the link to episode 1 or part 1 of Wonderfully Made, the docuseries, if you can, please and thank you. But in my docuseries, and I'm about to lose my damn thought, which means you probably need to move the hell on. I'm gonna get it back. I was saying something about on my platform. Well, for those of you who are new, y'all, I lose my thoughts sometimes. No shade. I'm learning how to stay in the flow, the stream of consciousness. And I'm a student, so I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna let y'all know that right now. I'm gonna make mistakes. I stutter, all that type of shit, but it's not stopping no show. And my experience in life is going to show the manifestation of what self-love is. Because when I saw Durand Bernarr and other people like Tone and all these other people who went through so many radical transformations, and just like Wings with the Butterfly, I'll fly, like Kathy Burrell, shout out to her because I love Kathy. Look at what they manifested. Look at what they brought. Look at what they were able to do. And they did it outside of organized religion. And religion is over there demonizing them because how dare you rise outside of what we said. That kind of sound like some slave master shit, does it not? That sounds like some oppressor shit, does it not? Like, there are so many areas in which organized religion can, like, compromise with gay people. Because even me, I believe in monogamy. I believe in monogamy. I don't believe in not paying. I don't believe in it's slipping my mind, y'all. Y'all please forgive it. Charged to my head, not my heart, girl. But I'm not in I'm not into all those other things. I don't know. At this point in time, I don't have the capacity for it. I don't. It's enough dealing with me, let alone dealing and get to know somebody else. Trying to get to know 2, 3 different motherfuckers, girl. No, they're called friends. Okay? I have people in my inner circle that I talk to almost every day. I'm not trying to make that in my relationship. No, girl. I will find 100 ways for one person. But for me, I believe in monogamy. Shit, like I said, if y'all were to be like, again, hey, I mean, if you're gay and you're monogamous and you have children, I don't care. Because you're still bringing life into this world. But it's the fact of them being gay, which is the problem and the issue. But then when we call y'all out on that, and then call y'all queerphobic, homophobic, and bigoted, it's because y'all don't understand that at every way, in every place, there is a demonization on why we need to talk about this, and we need to be honest about this, and we need to be real about this. But when the queer people start getting real with y'all, because again, the Bible is just that, a book. And other people can read it as well. And shout out to Boss Man, who, no shade, knows more than I do. Because again, I don't believe in organized religion. So I'm not living by its rules. Because its rules is not the only rules. There are greater things outside of that. And if that offends you, I mean, fine, will work for you. But just because it worked for you don't mean it's going to work for me. Hell, my ass short. I'm not tall like everybody else. So what am I supposed to do? Adjust myself to tall people shit? Or do I make the shit work in my favor, girl, because I'm short? Or do I tap into the God in me that gives me the hops, that gives me all this shit? Anyway, let's continue.
And sometimes you just have to say those things. And like, listen, it is what it is.
No shade.
That's what God established.
On both sides.
That's not what I established for myself. That's what God established in his word. And now I understand that there might be a lot of gay people who might not agree with that, who might be offended with that.
Not
but
really.
Listen, that's just the truth that is found within the Bible. So if you have an issue with that, examine the scriptures for yourself. Seek God for yourself. Ask for wisdom and clarity in that area for yourself, because I'm not God. I'm simply telling you what the Bible says. And the truth is very clear and it's outlined.
But then when you have people who do just that, all of a sudden something in their spirit tells them, oh, go make, I forgot the name of the church in Atlanta with the husband and the first gentleman. It inspired them to make ministries like Bishop Carlton did. It inspired them to make ministries like Yvette Flunder did. It inspired them to create spaces to where God's love can still reach the outcasted people. You know, the same thing that Jesus did. Y'all identify so much with the Pharisees and Sadducees and not enough with Christ. And again, we've heard your side, Nick. We've heard it. Tales as old as time, songs as old as rhyme. The Bible. We've heard it many times before. No Sunshine Anderson. Heard it all before. We've heard it all before. Now it's time for y'all to hear us. And then once we are all heard, then we can put all the facts on the table and allow truth to do the work. Y'all not willing to do that. Because I'm so sick and tired of y'all justifying God in the book, but not justifying God outside the book in other people's lives, let alone your own. And again, I don't want to hear no excuse. It reads in y'all word that you will go forth and do far greater works. Why do y'all marvel? Jesus told his own posse. Why are y'all niggas marveling? Why are y'all over here like consistently having y'all jaws drop? Did we just see one of our compadres walk on water, girl? Didn't we? Y'all been walking and traveling with me this entire time, and y'all niggas still ain't got it yet, and y'all closer to me than them. But why do y'all marvel at the work that I can do? Do you not know that you can go forth and do far greater works than I, which means you're gonna do things better than Jesus did, because it was never about Jesus the man, it was about the Christ energy in him. But see, if these people read books outside the Bible, because again, the Bible that these people be reading from has been revised so many times. The word homosexual was not added into the Bible until the 1940s. So again, that book has always been used as a tool of control and seen as the ultimate authority over all things. And the gag is that all y'all see that, but y'all be afraid to call it out because you know what happens to people who call shit out. But I wonder what's going to happen when it's y'all. I wonder what's going to happen when the gay people are gone and the queer expression is gone. Who do you think is going to be next? Do you think it's going to be, oh, great, we got rid of those queers. Oh, great, wonderful. No. In order for organized religion to keep thriving, there always has to be, there always and forever have to be an enemy. And Nick Jones, no shade, you're not exempt from becoming the enemy for these people. We are seeing all these conservative black content creators again fall very, very high from grace. Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum, possibly Amir Odom, Christian Walker, even though he fine to me. And the other dark-skinned dude, girl, who allow white people to call him the F word and the N word, girl, he's smiling, taking it.
Girl. So, but I think as a culture, as a society, and we just saw it with the Houston, 42,000 people got STDs in spring break in Houston. Like we just saw it. We live in a society that does not value their bodies as instruments and as vessels of the Lord. We think that we are our own. Therefore, We believe that we can do whatever we want within this body. Of course, there's going to be consequences. Of course, if I eat too much sugar, I'm probably going to get diabetes. Of course, if I have unprotected sex, I'm probably going to get an STD, or I'm probably going to have a child out of wedlock. We understand the consequences, but yet we believe that we are our own. Therefore, we believe that we can do whatever we want. But that's not true.
But at the same, actually, it is. Y'all call it free will all the time, so we can do what we want, and then y'all try to demonize free will to fit y'all narrative. But to your point, yes, if I have unprotected sex with people that I don't know, there is a huge risk that I have a greater chance at catching an STD, or creating a child out of wedlock. But again, there are gray areas. You can put on a condom. You can get on birth control. Birth control. Not the birth patrol. That's Trump and them. But you can be on birth control. And for you individuals who just have to get into the whole lot of condom, girl, no shade, PrEP, and PrEP only prevents HIV. AIDS, girl. It doesn't prevent everything else. But the fact that there are so many people out there who are having unprotected sex is like, wow to me. I can understand you having unprotected sex with motherfuckers that you know, individuals that you trust, and no shade, a lot of people end up catching STDs or STIs from people they trust. So it's like, at this point, Nick does have a point. If you don't really care about your damn body, baby, you can hurt yourself and other people. But we have to ask ourselves the question, why are there so many people out there willing to do that? And we can see a few reasons. One is the fact that, to your point, because we're so hypersexualized, sex sells. And just like the pastor at the time, even though, he had his own shit going on, but he did have some teachings where like, I can agree with that. But like he stated, the things that we talk about in the church is taboo: money and sex. And can we be real? We all want some. So it's like, because we are actualized as human beings, especially us as males, we're going to see it in the church. You're going to see somebody in the church who frame, who shape just right. And if you're in a congregation that's telling you not to have sex out of wedlock, girl, your mind going to go somewhere else, because you are depriving yourself of your natural instinct, which is why, again, what I would consider to be a good gray area is self-pleasure. I do that shit all the time, girl. It keeps me from fucking other people. It keeps me from putting myself in a situation to get an STI, STD. It prevents me from creating a soul tie with somebody. And on top of that, it helps to keep my mind fucking clear about things. And sometimes I don't give a damn, girl. You just need to take care of that. You need to handle that. In the words of T.S. Madison, not handle that. You need to handle that. Sometimes you need to handle that. You have to handle that. Get it all the way out. But again, even with Christianity, that's not even permitted. At this damn point, girl, you might as well get Skynet, because let them hoes do this, because I'm human. And then we sit up here and wonder why, when we pull back the curtains on the great and powerful eyes of Christianity, that these be the most freakiest, perverted, sleazy, slammy, slushy, slothy sluts, girl. Just get it all in with men, women, cheering. But Nick Jones don't want to talk about the sexual immorality of those in the Epstein files and the president who's connected to these individuals, girl. But somehow, somebody loving on gay people is so bad, girl. Girl, if I was Jesus, like I said, I wouldn't come back either, girl, because who tried to come back for the losing team?
Because who are you glorifying? If you're not glorifying God with your body, then you're glorifying the enemy. Simple as that.
Wow.
1 + 1 is 2. ABC. Simple as that. If you're not glorifying God with your body, then you are glorifying the enemy. And that's what it is.
Playing them. But that requires me to listen to my kids admit that I was wrong. My parents didn't admit they were wrong to us. What are you talking about?
I was just talking about.
What are you talking about?
I heard a friend of mine like apologize to their kids, and I was like, "Yo, in 41 years of knowing this man, he never said he was sorry. He would do things to let you know that."
Okay, I think we pretty much got it, right?
Again, I think that was it. That was the end of it, girl. Because he got to the end, girl. Nothing transformative, nothing powerful, nothing to leave your soul fed, girl. Nothing to be like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I mean, oh my God, Nick Jones did it again, another one. Like, it was none of that. It was literally him giving his perspective in a Bible scripture. And no shade, this is social media, so people can do what the hell they want to do. Some people probably feel the same way about me, and I get that, and I accept that because this is social media. But don't just take my word for it. Just don't take Nick Jones' word for it, or your pastor or your reverend's word for it. I'm going to need for y'all to do your own research. I'm going to need for y'all to do your own work. I'm going to need for y'all to study to show thyself approved. Because when you don't, my camera is glitchy as hell. Girl. I can't wait till I get a better laptop. Think for yourself. You are with you 24/7, 365, and God's source universe consciousness is inside of you. And I don't care who you are. I don't care what nobody says. You know the truth. And learn from other people. Learn empathy from other people. Learn empathy through helping other people and being there for other people, and not just being the main character in your own life, but also playing supporting roles in other people's lives. And no shade, Nick Jones, in my heart, I know that you mean well. I know that you don't have really any ill intent. You are just operating in what it is that you know. But just like KevOnStage and his and the panel, the people on the podcast were getting ready to say until you wanted to clean it up, girl, because you don't watch the whole entire thing, unlike us over here on the channel, girl. We take our time. But you would learn that, unfortunately, organized religion, parents at large, do not take accountability for the harm that they have also played into. You can't expect your children, you can't expect people around you to show up a certain type of way if you can't even model that to them as a reference and really walk in that. And no shade, that's also to the ex-gays, girl. A lot of y'all, girl, subjectively speaking, a lot of y'all are lying. A lot of y'all are playing whole straw games. A lot of y'all are pretending. And I wonder what it's going to be like 15, 20 years from now, girl, when you're still struggling with those desires, when those quote-unquote desires win, because that was your natural desire. That God loves you where you're at. That God loves you in the midst of. That God flows in all of, including you. And I'm learning this personally in my own life, and I'm pretty sure that I have not even experienced like an inkling of what God's love or source's love for me is. But I'm going to find out. And the crazy part is that that's going to be scary. That's going to be a little bit jarring. It's going to be a little bit breathtaking, probably a lot of breathtaking. But I also realize that it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be enlightening. It's going to be soothing. It's going to be affirming. And most importantly, it's going to be all about me and the love that I receive. I know that my life is changing. I don't know what's going to happen going forward. Even though we're heading into dark times, girl, this is where your faith and self-love and application and community, all those factors are going to play a role. And I wonder what Nick Jones and Amir Odom and all these other people are going to feel once shit really hits the fan and like, wow, we sat up here believing that queer people and Black Lives Matter and all these people were like the evil ones creating all the chaos and all the harm, but we were supporting the side. We were supporting the side that actually is causing the harm. I don't know. But yes, shout out to KevOnStage. Thank you, bro, for showing us what a real Christian looks like. You know, walking through the fear. Thank you for challenging yourself. Thank you for allowing love to be the leading light in your life. Therefore, you are able to show up as a light of love in other people's lives, which then transforms their lives. You don't throw the Bible at them. You live the pages of it in a way to where people see the God in you and they respect you for that. I just hope that some of your brethren could follow in those footsteps, but unfortunately they're not. Especially if they're in their 24th trimester, they really ain't trying to walk anywhere. Okay. To Durand Bernarr, again, shout out to you. If you are in a relationship, I apologize. I don't know. If you are, shout out to the nigga that have you, and I hope that he treats you well, girl. But let me tell you something. This not me shooting my shot, girl. But this me kind of saying a little something, girl. Durand, you fine as hell. You intelligent. You like to talk. You like to talk a lot like me. You like philosophical conversations. You love weed. You love busting out singing and stuff like that. And I know that booty is soft. So all I was saying, girl, if the universe ever set it up, I'm not gonna fight the feeling, girl. You said your father was rolling and learning from Earth, Wind, and Fire, girl. I can't hide love, bitch. I'm going to find the love, girl. After the love is gone, it never left, girl. Okay? Fantasy, realized, bitch. Written in the stone, girl, with this dick, girl. You and I together, girl. It's all of the songs. I know a lot of the Earth, Wind, and Fire songs, girl. I know all of them. So, girl, if the universe bless it, I'm going to take it. But if it ain't your ass, and if you're happily in a relationship, God bless you. And I'm just saying. But I just hope the universe send me a nigga like him. I love me a butch queen nigga. I love me a nigga that can do both. Now, when it come down to the sex part, girl, I just need you to be the bottom, girl. You can't be both and all that. Now, we can compromise, girl. You can clap these thighs or something. You can do a leg of lamb or something, girl. We can do some damn frotting, girl. But as far as the penetration on, girl, no. I'm very, very red pill. I'm very, very ex-gay. I'm very, very, no, girl. I know what I like. Okay, I bottomed more times than I desire, girl. In the name of love, what you won't do, you'll do for love, girl. That's why I love myself more. Girl, because sometimes I put myself in situations where my eyebrows is burning. It's like, girl, I love you, girl, but I gotta love me more. Girl, the universe send me what I'm looking for. But it would be nice to send me somebody who has the energy of that person. Somebody who I feel like is going to love and affirm you no matter where you are in your life stage. Somebody who's going to challenge your ass and call you to task, girl, and even hold your ass accountable, girl, that knows how to communicate, girl. And no shade, girl, I know that the love making part is on fire, girl. I know the playlist is fire. I know the weed is fire. This nigga hang out with Erykah Badu and sing back up for Erykah Badu, so I know he know all the real good incense and herbs and spices to put in the air for this aromatic experience, girl. And I know how he is shaped, girl. Baby, the way I'll be bending what's name ass up, girl, I am short, but I am built nice. Solid. Girl, the way I'll be breaking this nigga down like Chinese arithmetic, and I don't even know how to do that. But I figured I ask Google, I'm gonna use Claude, ChatGPT, girl. I'm gonna ask all type of AI stuff. I got ladders and shit, girl. If anybody fuck with you, girl, I'm gonna whoop their ass, girl. You go high, I go low, girl. I sing because, girl, I'm with you. there. But again, shout out to Durand Bernarr and his Grammy win and just being an inspiration to queer people to just be yourself. God loves you where you are. God affirms you where you are. God affirms you where you are. Fuck these other hoes, girl. God affirms you. Girl, walk in that. And I love watching people who do that because that takes a level of bravery and faith a lot of these other individuals don't have. And Nick Jones, again, I understand you feel like you're doing the right thing. Great. Continue to do your commentary. All I'm saying is that from a blind spot perspective, because again, I don't have anything against you. I have more smoke for the institution that you represent. That's where my smoke is at, the organized structure of it. But as far as you as a messenger, I don't have no personal problem with you, just like I don't have a personal problem with Amir Odom. It's y'all talking points and what y'all represent. And then y'all never bring the objective harm that we're doing, but we can bring the objective harm of what y'all have done consistently. And going forward, I just want y'all to just challenge your own audience because just like you said, we do be picking on gay people a little too much. Explore that. Go down that road. Go down that path. Challenge your supporters on that. How can we show up better for gay people? How can we help to not put them in a defensive mode? Because y'all can't sit up here and talk about queer people being defensive or being triggered or being victimized, girl, when you set up the environment for that to happen, girl. And y'all don't even support any of the healthy representation that helps them to work through that. You demonize that and destroy it, and you wonder why a lot of the queer community is oh my God, because y'all don't create the space. Because creating the space means I agree with it. Well, how about you let God do its job? It don't need you to do its job. You have a finite amount of time on this planet just like I do. So how is it your job? And again, Christ gave you, since y'all love using his words, clear perspective, clear instructions on what it is. Y'all are to love the Lord your God with all of who you are, with everything that you are, including yourself, and to love your neighbor the way you love yourself. And the way that y'all be treating queer people shows me that y'all don't love yourselves. And that's a personal problem. So yeah. Anyway, thank y'all so much for walking. I'm walking out, girl. It's almost, it is 4 a.m, girl. It's about that time. Anyway, thank y'all so much for rocking with me on this impromptu live stream. Again, I got personal stuff going on in my life, different opportunities opening up for me that I'm trying to focus on because no shade, that's kind of where the coin at. And until the coin start coming this way, girl, I gotta go where the coin at, girl. I have to do practical things, girl, to make ends meet, girl. No shade. So the money coming for I would love to change that. I would love to come back here a lot and be able to get that, girl. And I ain't trying to be like the church and rob your pockets, girl. It's the fact that it takes a lot to create this content. And I'm also learning about my worth. And what I also deserve because I've put in hard work, baby. I've paid my dues. Baby, BubzDaGawd, not just on BubzDaGawd here. BubzDaGawd is on other platforms, girl. BubzDaGawd is on TTB Network. BubzDaGawd is on Scotty by Nature TV. BubzDaGawd is on Conscious TV. BubzDaGawd is on the Fupa Network. BubzDaGawd has spread his likeness around. So I've paid my dues, girl. And I know all that's coming. And again, all that is going to be poured back into the platform because with the things going on in the back end, baby, my equipment game has upgraded. It's some things behind the scenes that I've been doing that's like elevating my stuff, and I'm excited to show y'all what I got going on. So again, the next video project is going to be chapter 2 of Blame It on the Dress. I'm going to get that out. I don't know when, y'all. It's coming soon. Okay, again, I gotta organize and strategize because I'm a eunuch. So I have to work on my eunuch energy, my eunuch training. You know what I'm saying? But that's gonna be the next project to drop. And I think after that, I think I'm gonna work on a documentary about the trans experience. So Queen Stevie, I'm gonna be on the lookout. I got a few other friends of mine who are trans that I would like to have conversations with. If there's any people that you know who are trans social media commentators who you think will be good for that documentary, let me know so I can follow them, and then when the time comes I can reach out to them to have a conversation and record it and put into my video essay. Like, we got some things. The universe has opened up some doors for Leprechaun Girl, and I'm ready for me pot of gold to overflow, girl, because that overflow I'm gonna share with y'all. No shade. Overflow is for everybody else. Okay? But anyway, thank y'all so much for watching the commentary. Queen Stevie says, we love you. And I've been shouting you out on the show. Yeah, shout out to you, Queen Stevie. You always be shouting me out. And I be feeling bad because shit be going on behind the scenes. I don't really get to catch your lives, because when I'm telling you somebody who is extremely consistent, like she is extremely consistent. It's inspirational to me. And no shade, as my stuff starts to overflow, I look out for my people. Cause baby, I would love to be able to get to a point to where I can be like, hey, yo, Queen Stevie, what's your address, girl? I'm about to send you some equipment, girl. Here go a new computer, girl. Here go a new camera, girl. Here go a new mic, girl. Here go the videos set up, Miss Mamas, because, baby, she putting in the work, which means that she's deserving for the upgrade. And, baby, if I have something to do with it, girl, which hopefully I will as my shit work the fuck out, girl, I want to give back to people. So, yes, make sure that y'all check out Queen Stevie. You've been getting a lot of traffic. We will always continue to support you, and I'm so honored to have you as a friend and to have you be able to collaborate and to have been able to collaborate with you. Thank you so much. And the same, it's the same thing here. It's mutual. I'm glad that I've gotten to know you. I love the way that you think. I want you to talk more. Like, when you be talking, I'll be shutting up because it's like I want to hear the queen talking, hear what she got to say, because your perspectives are good. I like it because you think differently. You also educate me about the trans experience. And like I said, if there's anything that I say that is ignorant about the trans experience, please do not hesitate to be like, hey, yo, Bubz, hold on, let me tap your shoulder real quick. I say this in love, but let's work on this. And, you know, I got it. And Fairy Push, she and me will be collaborating sometime to go live together. Please let me know in advance. Because I've been over the Fairy Push platform one time and I commented, but I don't know if it was because of my profile picture or the fact that she's never seen me in her chat before. I don't know if she assumed that I was a troll or like somebody coming in that was trying to start some shit, because when I came in and commented, and again, I could be interpreting this the wrong way, so I also stand to be corrected. But the fact that she's going to be on your platform, I'm going to make sure to come through. So let me know in advance, and I would love to be able to talk to her and let her know who I am, introduce myself, and, you know, possibly even get, you know, collaborate with her. Because her voice, she has an amazing, like, narrative voice. Like, she reminds me of, like, that auntie or, like, the wise woman in the family, girl. They'd be like, child, let me tell you something, girl. You know, you've been hearing this and whoop-de-whoop. Like, going into it, like, she knows how to narrate and captivate the audience with her voice, which is why when she did her voiceover for the unfortunate unaliving of 3 people here in Detroit from a down low individual, she made the video part and she did the voiceover part. I was like, girl, this shit's so good, I had to put some music behind it. I had to. And yeah, so shout out to you, Queen. But again, thank y'all for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button. Helps the channel to grow on the algorithms. We are at 1,190 subscribers, on the road to 1,200 subscribers. So again, thank y'all so much. We are moving forth slowly, but definitely surely. If you would like to contribute to that subscription growth, you can definitely hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you can stay up to date with all of my content, whether that's edited or live. If there's anything that I've said in this live that you agree with or disagree with, not just this live, but any of my content, and you want to use it on your platform to give commentary, I don't give a damn what you use. The only thing I care about is the tag. So tag me at BubzDaGawd so I know that it's real, because I would love to hear your perspective, and I hope y'all ready for my response, because I'm going to always respond. Now, how I respond, that's the interesting part. I'm a eunuch. I can't give y'all all my strategies, girl. I gotta keep some shit for myself. But I will respond. Okay? And if you definitely feel compelled, you can hit that Cash App that you can see running here at the bottom of the screen. Okay? Cash App $ Conscious TV, and that's Conscious with a Z, and leave in the message, girl, that this is for BubzDaGawd, because if not, that bitch will be wearing the shit that's meant for me on her head, on her body, or eating it, consuming it for her body. No shade, okay? Shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to Queen Stevie. And May 20th, she will be in the Dow House. Okay, May 20th. What day is that? May 20th is... Okay, that's a Wednesday. Okay. I'm pretty sure you're going to remind me again when you put up a post for it on your platform. So, yes, definitely, and I'll remember that. So, thank you for that. But shout out to Queen Stevie in the building. Shout out to King Harold in the building. Shout out to Parker Boy in the building. I think that was everybody who came through. It's a late night live, so everybody ain't gonna come through. But again, shout out to y'all. Shout out to the replay gang. Shout out to the Bush baby ass niggas, girl. Okay? And shout out to the future commentators or commenters, whatever the case may be. And until next time, everybody, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all's Tuesday morning. All right? Peace.
I can be anything I choose in this round. We are a sound vibration too deep to tell.